Chapter 670. Smashing the stone door after branding the Earth Demon Emperor and completely subduing it, Yang Hongwu heaved a sigh of relief. This guy was really hard to deal with. If it really self-destructed, it would cause quite a lot of damage to him. With the Earth Demon Emperor and the Golden Dragon demon-slaying whip being taken away, the seal in the cave lost its target and immediately began to disintegrate. It didn't take long for all the seals to disappear. With the seal gone, it was no longer a problem to break the stone door. At this time, Old Ape also woke up. "Master, go quickly. I'll hold the rear." Old Ape hurriedly shouted as soon as he woke up. Yang Hongwu said, "All right, it's fine now. The Earth Demon Emperor is dead. Now, you go and open the stone door." "Master, are you telling the truth?" Old Ape rubbed his eyes. He still couldn't believe it. The Earth Demon Emperor was so powerful and invincible. Although his master strength was not bad, there was a huge gap between them. How could he kill the Earth Demon Emperor? If it wasn't for the special connection, he would have suspected that the person in front of him was fake and was transformed by the Earth Demon Emperor. "Just go and break the stone door," Yang Hongwu said. He didn't explain further. As a slave, there were many things that he didn't need to know. Now, the one to deal with was the Demon King. Since the Earth Demon Emperor was subdued by him and became his slave, Yang Hongwu didn't put the Demon King in his eyes at all. Yes, the old Ape King mustered up all his strength and smashed the rod down. It heavily smashed on the stone door, causing a loud noise. Boom! The tall stone door collapsed, raising a cloud of dust. The old Ape King was in disbelief. He had really smashed the stone door open. He had smashed the stone door many times in the beginning, and the terrifying rebounding force had injured him quite badly. This time, he had actually smashed the stone door open. Outside the stone door, the Demon King's face changed greatly. He was waiting to devour Yang Hongwu's bloodline, but the stone door was smashed to pieces. No matter who it was not a good thing for him. If it was that human and the old ape who smashed open the stone door, he would definitely die. However, if it was that terrifying Earth Demon Emperor, he would still have a chance of survival, but he would also become someone subordinate and be ordered around by that person. As a high and mighty human king, how could he be willing to hand over his authority and listen to the orders of others? He was not willing to see either of these two situations happen, but there was nothing he could do. What he hoped to see didn't happen, but what he didn't want to see happened. He only hoped that the person who came out would be seriously injured and that he would have an advantage. As the dust settled, the Earth Demon Human King's pupils shrank as he saw the person who had walked out. The Earth Demon Human King's pupils shrank as if they were needles. It was the old ape and the human. This was what he didn't want to see the most. Moreover, this human strength had increased. He had reached the first level of the divine realm from the Tao pedestal realm. What kind of great fortuitous encounter did he have inside? Or did this human reach some kind of agreement with the Earth Demon Emperor? "Demon King, you bastard, give me your life." Seeing the Demon King, the old ape was aggressive. He suddenly raised his big stick and smashed it toward the Demon King. The Demon King narrowed his eyes. Looking at the old ape who was attacking him, he didn't put him in his eyes at all. Although the old ape's strength was not bad, it was not on the same level as him. With a wave of his right hand, a huge mace appeared in his hand. Then he smashed it toward the old ape, as if he had turned into a terrifying demon. He was ferocious and arrogant. He let out angry roars, wanting to tear the old ape apart. Bang! The two huge forces collided. The Demon King was motionless, while the old ape was sent flying dozens of meters away. He hit the wall and fell down. The old ape spat out a mouthful of blood and struggled to get up. He looked at the Demon King, his eyes full of unwillingness. "All right, you're not his match." Yang Hongwu waved his hand and said to the very unwilling old ape. Although the old ape's strength was not bad, the gap between him and the Demon King was still too big. He couldn't possibly be the Demon King's match, unless his strength took another step forward and broke through to another level. He would be able to fight the Demon King to a draw. In terms of combat talent, the old ape was without a doubt. However, his realm was much lower than the Demon King's. Absolute strength had an absolute advantage. Even if the old ape had rich combat experience, he was still not a match for the Demon King. This was the reason why one could break 10,000 techniques. As long as one had enough strength, no matter how many techniques one had, it would all be in vain. Of course, it was not easy to reach this realm, unless one's strength was too much stronger than the opponent, to the point where one could absolutely crush them. Can't even withstand a single blow. The Demon King coldly said, "Human, you have already obtained the item. If you leave my Earth Demon Mountain immediately, I can forget about it." Are you joking? Yang Hongwu gave the old ape a medicinal pill. The old ape's chaotic aura was immediately adjusted. His injuries were constantly healing, and his strength gradually increased. There were even signs of a breakthrough. Medicinal pill, a supreme-grade healing medicinal pill. Seeing the medicinal pill Yang Hongwu took out, the Demon King's eyes flashed with greed. He never thought that this human would have such a medicinal pill. There were many spiritual herbs in the Earth Demon Mountain. However, even the most precious spiritual herbs did not have such quick effects. If he could obtain these medicinal pills, and if he had enough of them, he would be able to dominate this wild mountain. Perhaps this human was also a powerful alchemist. If he could capture him and make him serve him as his alchemy slave, that would be great. The Demon King's ambition was huge. However, at this moment, it was just a thought. Although he looked calm on the surface, as if he was not afraid of Yang Hongwu, in fact, he was already prepared to escape. Although the Earth Demon Mountain was important, his own life was more important. You want to kill me, and you want me to leave just like that? Do you think I'm such a nice person? Moreover, you have injured my subordinates. Yang Hongwu coldly said, "Demon King, you must know that there was a terrifying existence in the cave. However, that terrifying existence has already been eliminated by me. Moreover, I have obtained great benefits. My cultivation has already broken through to the first level of the divine realm. When I was in the Tao pedestal realm, I could already kill you. Now, you don't even have the chance to escape." Chapter 671. Frantically fleeing, the Demon King's reaction was within Yang Hongwu's expectations. The strength of the Earth Demon Emperor was indeed very frightening. If it wasn't for his special situation, he wouldn't have been able to deal with him. If it was someone else, they would be completely helpless. Or rather, they would only be the Earth Demon Emperor's snack. However, the Earth Demon Emperor just had to meet him. It didn't matter whether the Demon King believed him or not. Yang Hongwu didn't need him to believe him. The corner of his mouth curled up into a smile. Since this guy was so stubborn, then he would take care of him. With a wave of his right hand, a golden whip spun in his hand. Then, it turned into a golden dragon and circled around Yang Hongwu. Seeing the golden dragon that the whip had turned into, the Demon King's expression changed greatly. The aura that the golden whip gave him was very familiar. It seemed to be the same as the Earth Demon Emperor's chains that sealed the cave. Perhaps it was even more powerful. This whip made him feel the aura of death. It was very uncomfortable. Could it be that this person had really killed that frightening Earth Demon? Otherwise, how could he even capture this whip? No, that supreme treasure that could seal the Earth Demon Emperor. After hesitating for only a moment, he prepared to flee. His figure turned into a black wind and flew towards the distance. His speed was extremely fast. It was like a black lightning bolt. His action made Yang Hongwu and I slightly stunned. However, Yang Hongwu had been paying attention. Since the golden dragon devil slaying whip had been taken out, it had already locked onto the Demon King. It simply didn't allow him to escape. The golden dragon that the golden dragon devil slaying whip had turned into let out a mighty dragon roar. It domineeringly chased after the Demon King, who had turned into a black lightning bolt. One was black, one was golden. One was in front, one was behind. They were chasing after each other. The Demon King's speed was extremely fast. However, the golden dragon devil-slaying whip's speed wasn't slow at all. It was closely following behind him. Damn it! Seeing the golden dragon devil-slaying whip chasing after him, the Demon King's expression changed and he cursed. If he had known earlier, He would have taken advantage of the time when that human was sealed in the cave to escape. Now, he was somewhat regretting it. However, it was too late to regret now. Block him for me. The Demon King crazily grabbed the other Earth Devil human clansmen and threw them behind him. It was as if he had gone mad as he fled for his life. The Earth Devil human clan was stunned to see their old ancestor being chased so crazily. However, they quickly regained their senses. In the Earth Devil human clan, the Demon King was the most important and strongest existence in the clan. No one dared to disobey his words. Even if he wanted them to die, they would agree. They were absolutely loyal to the Demon King. In their hearts, the Earth Devil King was supreme, the strongest, and invincible. No one could defeat him. But now, he was being chased by a golden dragon. This meant that the golden dragon must have used some despicable and shameless method to stop him. The dragons had once attacked the Earth Demon Mountain, but they were all repelled without exception. Therefore, in the eyes of the Earth Demons, the dragons were nothing. Kill him! Kill that damned golden dragon! The Earth Devil human clan roared loudly. One by one, they grabbed their sabers and maces and rushed towards the golden dragon demon, slaying whip. They were not afraid of death. Bang, bang, bang. The golden dragon demon, slaying whip, turned into a golden dragon and rushed forward. The Earth Devil human clansmen that came in contact with it died instantly. There was no resistance at all. It was like a small ant trying to block the path of an elephant. There was no effect at all. However, even so, the Earth Devil human clansmen did not care about their lives and still rushed towards the golden dragon demon, slaying whip. If it was just for the sake of the Demon King, to give the Demon King, the king of the Earth Devil clan, the greatest and most respected old ancestor of the Earth Devil clan, a breather. Yang Hongwu frowned. The golden dragon demon, slaying whip speed, was slightly faster than the Demon King's, but it was slowed down by the Earth Devil human clansmen. In a battle between experts, even if it was delayed by a little, it would make a huge difference. It seemed that he had to do it himself. Although the golden dragon demon, slaying whip, was powerful, it was only a weapon after all. Although it had its own consciousness and was not weak, its intelligence was still too weak. In other words, it was not smart enough and had not grown to that level. It still needed some time to improve. Looking at the complacent Demon King, a cold light flashed in Yang Hongwu's eyes. In Yang's soul lock curse. He shouted softly. The power of the primordial spirit burst out and formed an invisible attack. It passed through space and bombarded the Demon King's primordial spirit. The Demon King immediately slowed down. That black light clearly paused for a moment. It was just a moment, not even a breath's time. However, in this short moment, the golden dragon demon, slaying whip, had already rushed forward. The golden dragon that it transformed into opened its mouth and roared. It extended its sharp claws and fiercely clawed at the Earth Devil human king's body. The Demon King had no way to dodge and was caught in an instant. Bang! That huge power suddenly slapped the Demon King down from the sky. It heavily smashed into the ground, creating a deep pit. Roar! With another roar, the golden dragon demon, slaying whip, rushed forward again. There was only one thought in its mind, and that was the order that Yang Hongwu gave it. Kill the Demon King. Kill him. Kill him. The golden dragon demon, slaying whip, seemed to turn into a golden lightning and fell on the Demon King's body. Pa! This time, the golden dragon demon, slaying whip, changed back to its original form. It was a golden whip, and around the whip were shadows of golden dragons. The entire whip was like a huge dragon's body, with terrifying spikes on it. When it hit the Demon King's body, blood splashed out. It also made a sizzling sound, as if it was corroded by some terrifying venom. The Demon King let out a mournful scream. The golden dragon demon, slaying whip speed, became faster and faster. Around the Demon King's body, only countless shadows of the whip could be seen. Not long after, the Demon King's aura weakened, and his screams were long gone. Is it that weak? Yang Hongwu was somewhat in disbelief. Although the golden dragon demon, slaying whip, was domineering, it shouldn't be able to kill such a powerful guy like the Demon King so quickly? After all, the Golden Dragon Demon slaying whip didn't have the support of his magic power. If it had the support of his magic power, it would have been possible to kill the Demon King in such a short time. Chapter 672. Tortoiseshell Armor. Yang Hongwu was a very cautious person. Under such circumstances, he did not dare to be careless. With a wave of his hand, Yang Hongwu kept the Golden Dragon Demon slaying whip into the little devil world. Then, Yang Hongwu circulated his magic power and condensed it in his hand. Demon Slaying Finger. This Demon Slaying Finger was extremely lethal to the Demon King. It was even more terrifying than the Golden Dragon Demon Slaying Whip. When the terrifying Golden Finger condensed from magic power was about to hit the Demon King's body, he moved. His body was as agile as a monkey. With a flip of his body, he tried to dodge Yang Hongwu's Demon Slaying Finger. However, how mysterious was the Demon Slaying Finger? Moreover, it was executed by Yang Hongwu with all his strength. If it could be dodged so easily, then it would not be evolved from the Jingshan Finger. The demonic exterminating finger wasn't any weaker than the Jingshan Finger. The Jingshan Finger was an emperor art, a powerful emperor art. It was just that Yang Hongwu had yet to fully grasp it. Similarly, the demonic exterminating finger that evolved from the Jingshan Finger was also an emperor art. However, Yang Hongwu's comprehension of the demonic exterminating finger was much deeper than the Jingshan Finger. This finger was filled with supreme mysteries. It was integrated with a powerful force. It could slay evil and exterminate demons. Damn it, shatter the mountains and rivers. The Demon King roared. A violent force was released. His entire body was like a demon god that could destroy the world. That terrifying force was about to shatter the entire space. Huge cracks appeared on the ground. They spread out like a spider web. This was the result of the Demon King's terrifying power. However, even though the power was strong, it was still unable to resist the terrifying Demon Slaying Finger. In front of the Demon Slaying Finger, the Demon King's power was greatly weakened. He could not display his tyrannical strength at all. Boom! The Demon Slaying Finger collided with the Demon King's attack. The mana condensed by the Demon King formed a huge fist. However, this huge fist melted under the Demon Vanquishing Finger. It was as if ice and snow had encountered a scorching flame. It kept melting at an extremely fast speed. The fist energy was dissolved, and the power of the demon-killing finger landed on the Demon King's body. A huge tortoise shell appeared on the Demon King's body. This was a treasured armor that protected the Demon King, reducing his injuries to a minimum. Is this the Demon King's trump card? Yang Hongwu's eyes flashed with surprise when he saw the turtle shell-like armor. Even if the black tortoise was a powerful black tortoise and had an astonishing defense, it would not be able to withstand the attack of the demonic finger. It seemed that this tortoiseshell armor was not that simple. Even if it wasn't an emperor weapon, it was still a top-grade defensive saint weapon. The defensive power of this tortoiseshell armor was probably much stronger than his true dragon armor. This was a treasured armor. Although he had no use for it, he could give it to others. He could give it to his women. They were not strong, and they needed it. You won't be able to kill me. The Demon King smiled when he saw that he was protected by the treasured armor. He was provoking Yang Hongwu. Do you really think that I can't kill you? Yang Hongwu was furious when he saw that this guy was still so cocky. He did not want to explode, but he still dared to provoke him. He was really courting death. Battle Spirit Possession. Yang Hongwu, whose strength had skyrocketed to level 1 Divine Realm, could now use the Battle Spirit Possession for a longer time than before. The strength of the Battle Spirit Possession had reached level 4 Venerable Realm. He could even kill level 5 and level 6 Venerable Realm experts when he unleashed his full strength. The difference between the Demon King and the Earth Demon Emperor was too big. He was suppressed again. Even with the protection of the tortoise shell armor, he could not avoid death. Yang Hongwu's strength had undergone a huge change. The Demon King's expression changed. He was frightened. He knew that his treasured armor was very strong. At first, he was not confident that he could resist Yang Hongwu. However, the previous terrifying finger attack was blocked by the treasured armor, so his injury was not serious. At most, it was a light injury. Such an injury could be healed in a dozen breaths. It could be said that the attack, just now, did not harm him at all. However, this time, the Earth Devil Human King was unable to remain calm in the face of this attack. This time, he had a premonition, a very strong premonition. His treasured armor could not block it. It could not block it. If it could not block it, that terrifying power would definitely take his life. No, it won't. My treasured armor will definitely be able to block this damnable human's attack. The Earth Devil Human King secretly cheered himself on. In his heart, there was still a trace of joy, a trace of hope. However, reality was cruel. After Yang Hongwu executed the battle spirit possession, his battle strength increased tremendously. He executed the demon-killing finger again. This time, the power was boundless. Compared to before, it was far more powerful. It could be said that the difference between heaven and earth was like night and day. The huge golden finger looked like the finger of a demon-killing battle god from the primordial age. With a single finger, any demon god would be killed. Boom! The terrifying finger clashed with the tortoise-shaped treasured armor. A huge shockwave spread out, and the entire Earth Demon Mountain was affected. One ancient tree after another was snapped by this tyrannical power. The poisonous miasma that surrounded the entire Earth Demon Mountain was completely dispersed by this terrifying power. As for the tortoise-shell armor, it was unable to withstand such a powerful force. Cracks began to appear on it. There was also a series of kacha sounds. After a few breaths, that huge tortoise shell exploded with a loud bang. After the tortoise shell exploded, the force hit the Demon King's body. Although the Demon King was not a true demon race, the blood of the Earth Demon race flowed in his body. Compared to the Earth Demon Sovereign, he was still the strongest existence in the Earth Demon human race. Even among the Earth Demon race, his bloodline was still of a very high grade and very honorable. Compared to the demon-killing finger, it was specifically used against the demon race. The higher the grade of the opponent's bloodline, the stronger the killing power. The power of the demon-killing finger on the Demon King's body was a terrifying poison. It was a lethal poison that could not be touched at all. The Demon King let out a shrill scream. The force corroded his body and kept devouring it. The golden light spread very quickly. In a few breaths, it had already spread to the Demon King's entire body. In the end, the Demon King's body exploded just like the tortoise-shell armor. His body completely dissipated into the air. Chapter 673. Collecting the Spiritual Vein, Earth Devil Emperor. After being thrown into the little devil world, seeing the Earth Devil Emperor appear, the Earth Devil Human King was stupefied. This was real. The Earth Devil Emperor was really defeated by him, and was even imprisoned here. This was the most inconceivable thing in his eyes. The most impossible thing had happened. Master, do you want me to train this little guy? The Earth Demon Emperor looked at the person who came in and recognized him. This guy had the blood of the Earth Demon clan flowing in his body. However, he wasn't a real Earth Demon clan, but an Earth Demon human clan. He was a half-human demon clan born from the combination of a human and an Earth Demon clan. Yes, I'll leave this guy to you. Yang Hongwu nodded and said. This guy had lived in the savage 100,000 mountain range for so long, so he knew a lot of things about the savage 100,000 mountain range. He lived much longer than the old ape, so he naturally knew a lot more things. This would be of great help to Yang Hongwu when he wanted to go deeper into the Death Mountain. The Earth Demon Mountain was the closest to the Death Mountain. It was the only place where one could freely enter the Death Mountain. No one knew more about the Death Mountain than the Demon King. Yes, Master. The Earth Demon Emperor chuckled. He picked up the Demon King and went to one side. For the Earth Demon Emperor, there was no fun in the little devil world. Now that a Demon King had come down, he could have some fun and pass the time. Yang Hongwu came out of the little devil world and went to the Earth Demon Mountain, looking at the released spiritual vein. Now that the Earth Demon Mountain had lost the miasma, the entire mountain peak was like a paradise on Earth. It was definitely a rare paradise. If he established a sect here, although it wouldn't be as good as the 4 Great Immortal Mansion, it should be much stronger than those clans and sections. Brother, if you move this spiritual vein into the Jinlong world, then Sister Bao will wake up. At this time, Nini's voice appeared in Yang Hongwu's mind. Can it be moved into the Jinlong world? Yang Hongwu asked. Yes. What should we do? Yang Hongwu asked hurriedly. With the help of Shi Bao, everything would be much smoother, and Yang Hongwu would be more confident. This was absolutely true. Shi Bao's true form was the gem of life. She was very strong, perhaps even stronger than the average great emperor. It was just that her cultivation had not recovered yet. Moreover, she was like an encyclopedia. You could ask her anything you didn't know and get a satisfactory answer. Of course, Yang Hongwu knew that he couldn't rely on others too much. However, waking up Shi Bao was still a priority. Putting aside the fact that the mountain of death was full of dangers, Shi Bao had helped him a lot. It was his duty to help her recover and wake her up. Big brother, you just need to find the source of the spirit vein. Then, I will collect the spirit vein, Nini said. Yang Hongwu nodded. Nini was the longevity ancient tree. It shouldn't be difficult for her to collect the spirit vein. Yang Hongwu also knew that his strength was not strong enough to collect a spirit vein. Yang Hongwu rushed towards the place with the densest spiritual qi. It was the peak of the Earth Demon Mountain. Many parts of the mountain were destroyed. After all, there had been such a terrifying battle. However, because of the spirit vein, the Earth Demon Mountain was exceptionally sturdy. Even such a terrifying impact did not completely destroy the Earth Demon Mountain. This was the benefit of a spirit vein. A spirit vein would not only make the spiritual energy in the area rich and dense, but it would also give birth to many precious spirit herbs, plants, and trees. It would also make the surrounding soil and rocks more solid, and the entire mountain would become more sturdy. The benefits of a spirit vein were enormous. This went without saying. Therefore, no matter who it was, they all wanted a spirit vein. Normally, all the large sects and clans would search for a spirit vein and establish their sect or clan on it. The 4 major immortal mansions, the 7 major sects, and the 10 major families, all of them were built on spirit veins. Of course, once the spirit vein was exhausted, it would be a huge blow to them. The spiritual qi of a spirit vein could slowly change a martial artist's physique. Those who were born in spirit veins usually had better physiques than ordinary people. They were also more talented, smarter, and stronger. For a family's inheritance, the more talents they had, the better. Therefore, there was a huge difference between having a spirit vein and not having one. Some small families, without the nourishment of a spirit vein, would be further behind the big families. Just like the gap between the rich and the poor, it would become 2 extremes. The poor would become poorer and poorer, while the rich would become richer and richer. In fact, this was not absolute. There were still other situations. Not all families that occupied a spirit vein would prosper forever. The strength of a family was not the absolute foundation of a family survival. As the saying went, there was always someone better than you. Unless a family's power was at the peak, no other family could shake it. If it had absolute strength, then it might be possible. Basically, the reason why some powerful families were exterminated was because of the family itself. It was not because they were not strong enough, but because of other reasons. No matter what, a spirit vein was incomparably precious. In the ancient domain, there was no one who had the strength to obtain a powerful spirit vein. At most, it would be some small spirit vein. Moreover, it would cost a lot to obtain it. However, Nini was different. Nini could do it. She was the longevity ancient tree. Moreover, she had a special secret technique. Yang Hongwu quickly arrived at the top of the mountain. The top of the mountain looked like the mouth of a volcano. It looked like a huge bathtub. The inside of the bathtub was lush and verdant. It was full of vitality. However, it was not easy to go down. The spiritual qi here was abundant, but the pressure was also very great. There seemed to be a special power of law here. Yang Hongwu frowned. This place did not seem so simple. It seemed like there was an even bigger secret hidden here. Moreover, Yang Hongwu's feeling was getting more and more intense. Mauer, take a look. What's the situation below? Yang Hongwu used his mind to communicate with Mauer. Down there, Yang Hongwu felt uneasy. He didn't know where this uneasy feeling came from, but according to his past experience, whenever he felt uneasy, something bad would happen. In other words, there might be danger down there. This danger was even more intense than when he had encountered the Earth Demon Emperor. Chapter 674. Searchmouth shook her head and said, "Brother, I can't see what's going on down there. My delusion breaker eye is blocked by an invisible force." Yang Hongwu was shocked when he heard that. The delusion breaker eye was blocked. It was indeed not simple down there. Then, should he go down there? If the delusion breaker eye could not see through it, it meant that there were many unknown dangers down there. This made Yang Hongwu hesitate. Of course, he only hesitated for a moment. After a few thoughts, Yang Hongwu made up his mind. He had to go down there. It was a spiritual vein. There was no reason for him not to go down there. Perhaps, other than the spirit vein, there were other things that could be found below. After taking a deep breath, Yang Hongwu decided to go down there. "Master, why don't you let me go down first?" At this moment, Old Ape said, "No need. You're not strong enough. I'm afraid you don't have the ability to go down there." Yang Hongwu shook his head. Although Old Ape was strong, the pressure here was too much for Old Ape to bear. Old Ape could not bear it all. However, to Yang Hongwu, this pressure was not only harmless, but it was also of great help to him. It was constantly tempering his physical body and allowing him to break through. Yang Hongwu's strength had reached level 1 divine realm. His foundation was strong, but he could use this opportunity to refine his body. His body was very strong. After all, it was the Nine Dragons' sacred body. The Nine Dragons' sacred body had not been activated yet. In fact, Yang Hongwu could practice dual cultivation with Gu Shaoxian and break through to the next realm of the Nine Transformation Yin-Yang Harmony art. However, Yang Hongwu did not want to do so now. Yang Hongwu knew that Gu Shaoxian had feelings for him. This feeling was not because of the contract that Gu Shaoxian had signed with him. It was real and natural. Even so, Yang Hongwu did not want to take Gu Shaoxuan's virginity unless it was a last resort. Moreover, there was another reason. Yang Hongwu wanted to refine his body to the extreme during the next transformation. Yang Hongwu found that the Nine Transformation Yin-Yang Harmony art was very powerful. If he could refine his body to the extreme before each transformation, it would be of great help to his future improvement. The stronger his body was before the breakthrough, the greater his strength would be after the breakthrough. His cultivation foundation would also be more stable. The path of cultivation was like sailing on the sea. The strength of one's physical body was like the strength of a ship. In order to sail further on the ocean, the ship had to be sturdier and more reliable. If they went down from here and entered the source of the spirit vein, the pressure would become greater and greater. They might even encounter some unknown dangers. However, this would give Yang Hongwu a lot of benefits. "Big brother, it's very dangerous to go down from here. I have a feeling that you should put on the dragon turtle armor first." Yang Hongwu was about to move. At this moment, Nini's voice sounded in Yang Hongwu's mind. "Nini, what do you feel?" Yang Hongwu hurriedly asked. The dragon tortoise armor was the treasure armor he had obtained from the Earth Demon Human King. Although it wasn't an emperor weapon, it was still a very impressive armor. If he could obtain the dragon tortoise core and primordial spirit and insert them into this dragon tortoise armor, this armor could truly transform into an emperor weapon. However, dragon turtles were very rare and very powerful. Their defense was too terrifying. Even a true great emperor would not be able to kill a dragon turtle easily. In the ancient region, it was even more impossible for him to do so. Even if there was, no one could kill a dragon turtle. Regarding this, Yang Hongwu could only say that he was helpless. Of course, Yang Hongwu did not plan to use the dragon turtle armor for himself. Instead, he wanted to give it to his woman to protect her. As for now, Nini wanted Yang Hongwu to put on the armor and continue to explore. This made Yang Hongwu very hesitant. The reason for this was that Yang Hongwu wanted to temper his body. One must know that tempering one's body required a very special environment with very strong pressure and dense spiritual energy. This was a wonderful place. Even the Tiani Immortal Mansion did not have such a good place. Thus, if he did not make use of this opportunity in the ancient domain, it would be practically impossible for him to do so in the future. Thus, this was a very difficult choice for Yang Hongwu. No need. Yang Hongwu shook his head and said, since this kind of opportunity was hard to come by, even if he had to take a risk, it was worth it. Only in danger could one obtain the greatest progress. Only under pressure could one obtain the greatest progress. But, big brother, this is too dangerous. If something happens, I'm afraid I won't be able to do anything. Nini said very worriedly. The things below made Nini feel very dangerous. Thus, when Yang Hongwu refused to put on the armor, Nini was very worried. She did not know if telling Yang Hongwu that the spirit vein could allow Sherbauer to quickly awaken and even increase Sherbauer's cultivation was a good thing or a bad thing. There's no need to say anymore. I've already decided. This is an opportunity. Yang Hongwu said. All right. Nini also knew what he was talking about. She had lived in Yang Hongwu's divine mansion for so long. Although she did not know everything about Yang Hongwu, she was very clear about it. Yang Hongwu began to climb down. The cliff was very smooth. Yang Hongwu was very careful. Originally, Yang Hongwu planned to summon the Doping Golden Eagle and let Xiao Jing go down to explore, but after thinking about it, he decided not to. Yang Hongwu used the spiritual cat clone to go first. His original body followed closely behind. The lower he went, the greater the pressure and the denser the spiritual energy. Whoosh! Suddenly, Yang Hongwu felt a cold wind. On the cliff, a black shadow launched an attack at Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu abruptly threw out a punch. The fist force collided with the black shadow, causing a loud explosion. The black shadow was heavily hit on the stone wall, smashing a hole, and blood splashed out. Yang Hongwu took a closer look. It was a small snake, a very ordinary small snake. However, this small snake's eyes were very strange. Its eyes seemed to have spikes. It was very strange. Big brother, this is the most ordinary snake on Earth Demon Mountain. It's not even a savage beast. At this time, Mauer said, an ordinary small snake actually has such a terrifying combat strength. Yang Hongwu took a deep breath. That was really terrifying. This was just an ordinary snake. If it was a powerful savage beast, such as level 8 or level 9, how powerful would it be? Chapter 675. Mutant Flying Dragon. The treasure was tempting, but the danger was also getting stronger. If he wanted to get the treasure, he had to face the terrifying and unknown danger. This was something that could not be changed. Brother, it's too dangerous down there. If we retreat now, we can still make it. It'll be much safer if we wait for Sister Bao to wake up. Sister Bao is powerful and knowledgeable. She definitely knows what's down there. Nini wanted to stop Yang Hongwu from going down again at this time. Nini, I know you're doing this for my own good, but it's not my style to give up halfway. Yang Hongwu rejected her again. He increased his speed and climbed down. The pressure was great, and the spiritual qi was getting denser. The dense spiritual qi was constantly washing and tempering Yang Hongwu's body. After descending 60 to 70 feet, Yang Hongwu felt that his cultivation was about to break through to level 2 of the divine realm. Yang Hongwu was shocked by this. He had just broken through to level 1 of the divine realm and had not stabilized it yet. Moreover, he needed to accumulate a lot of energy every time he broke through to level 1 of the divine realm. It could be said that the energy he needed to break through to level 2 of the divine realm was much more terrifying than the energy an ordinary warrior needed to break through to level 2 of the honorable realm. From this, it could be seen how terrifying the spiritual qi here was. Not only was the spiritual qi's quality terrifying, but its quantity was also shocking. Only such a terrifying amount of spiritual qi could allow Yang Hongwu to show signs of a breakthrough in such a short period of time. Of course, Yang Hongwu would not break through now. He had to suppress it until his body reached its limit. Therefore, even if there was a chance to break through now, Yang Hongwu would not do it. He continued to climb down. Bit by bit, gusts of wind blew. This wind was extremely cold, but Yang Hongwoo's body was covered in bean-sized beads of sweat that dripped down from his forehead and temples. Phew! Phew! Suddenly, another series of sounds echoed in Yang Hongwoo's ears. This was different from the sound of the wind. It was mixed with a strong stench. A big guy, whose body was like a black cloud, blocked his line of sight. Its huge mouth opened wide, which reminded Yang Hongwoo of the pterosaur from the dinosaur era on Earth. Of course, this guy was closer to an enlarged bat. However, the only difference was that this guy had a sharp horn on his head. This horn was similar to a bull's horn. There were also ancient runes on the horn. Streaks of lightning flashed. The runes on it reminded Yang Hongwoo of the demonic dragon's horn that he had refined before. It was very similar to the demonic dragon's horn, especially the ancient runes and restrictions on it. They were almost exactly the same. Could it be that this giant bat, no, it should be a flying dragon, was a descendant of the demonic dragon clan? This fellow's strength was not to be underestimated. This was something that Yang Hongwoo had already deeply felt when he encountered those small snakes before. Most importantly, this guy could fly. Under this terrifying pressure, it did not seem to be restricted at all. Such a situation was very unfavorable for Yang Hongwoo. He was at an absolute disadvantage. However, despite this, Yang Hongwoo was still confident. There were still ways to deal with this guy. What Yang Hongwoo wanted to do now was to see if he could tame this guy. In that case, he could become his own informant. Brother, I'll deal with this guy. A voice appeared in Yang Hongwoo's spiritual sea. It was Lu Li. Hearing Lu Li's words, Yang Hongwoo was overjoyed. Lu Li finally woke up at this critical moment. This flying dragon was also a dragon and had the bloodline of dragons. If he wanted to deal with it, it would take a lot of effort. However, with the help of Lu Li, it would be much easier. Dealing with this guy was as easy as blowing off dust. Great, Lu Li, you woke up. Then I'll leave this guy to you. I want to catch it alive and make this beast our informant. Yang Hongwoo did not have time to ask Lu Li other things and directly handed the task to her. Don't worry, brother. Although this guy has mutated, the bloodline in his body is still the bloodline of dragons. As long as it is a dragon, and its strength has not reached the level of a sage, I can suppress it. What's more, this mutated flying dragon is just a low-level dragon. Its bloodline is mixed and not worth mentioning. Lu Li's tone was very confident. She turned into a colorful light and shot out from between Yang Hongwoo's eyebrows and landed beside Yang Hongwoo, turning into a beautiful girl. Her figure was impeccable, and her facial features could not be described with words at all. Compared to before, she had grown a lot and became more beautiful. Yang Hongwoo was a little dazed. Even though Yang Hongwoo was used to seeing beautiful women, he was also a little dazed for a moment. Seeing Yang Hongwoo looking at her like this, Lu Li's pretty face blushed slightly, but she was very happy in her heart. Every woman hoped that their beauty would be appreciated by others. Although Lu Li was a dragon, she was also a woman and was no exception. At this time, the flying dragon had already rushed up. Its speed was extremely fast, and it only took the blink of an eye. Lu Li moved. Her body was light, and her movements were extremely graceful. With a gentle wave of her right hand, a 7-colored light turned into a 7-colored scarf, which immediately wrapped around the flying dragon. Then Lu Li pointed out with her left hand and landed on the forehead of the flying dragon. The originally entangled flying dragon was struggling before, but after being touched by this finger, its body suddenly shook and then became docile. What was even more shocking was that the black dragon horn on its forehead was gradually changing color. From its original black color, it was now white. The runes on the dragon horn also changed. Of course, the change did not seem to be big. Only some places changed. Although Yang Hongwoo had some understanding of runes, after all, he was not a rune master. A rune master and a talisman master were not the same, although there were some connections between the two. However, rune masters could inscribe runes anywhere and under any circumstances. For example, they could inscribe runes on weapons, living creatures, and even souls. However, it was different for talismans. Yang Hongwoo was a talisman master and a 7th grade talisman master, but there was no way for him to engrave talisman seals on living creature souls. In fact, runes and talisman seals were inseparable in ancient times. Later on, they gradually evolved into two different directions, becoming Rune Master and Talisman Master. Rune Masters specialized in various kinds of runes and engraved them on weapons and other equipment. Talisman Masters engraved runes on a piece of animal skin and instilled power into it to make talisman seals. Chapter 676. The mysterious figure in the abyss. In fact, Talisman Masters and Rune Masters were the same. When they reached the highest level, they would become the same. Whether it was talisman or talisman, they would be able to use them easily. There were 3,000 ways to achieve Tao. Chirp, chirp. Yang Hongwu smiled bitterly when he heard the wyvern's chirp. It was so ferocious just a moment ago, but now it had become a gentle little bird. He had to admit that Lu Li's strength had increased a lot after he woke up. From this point, it could be seen that the wyvern's strength was not simple. Although it was not an 8th level savage beast, its combat strength was not weaker than an 8th level savage beast. However, such a powerful combat strength was easily subdued by Lu Li. Lu Li's strength had probably increased a lot. "Brother, this little guy has been subdued by me," Lu Li said to Yang Hongwu proudly. Yang Hongwu knew that Lu Li was asking for credit. He smiled and said, "Lu Li, thank you very much. If you didn't help me, I'm afraid it would be impossible for me to subdue this little guy." Lu Li's awakening had indeed helped Yang Hongwu a lot. In fact, Yang Hongwu was still confident if it was just a wyvern. However, the problem now was not just a wyvern. Because of the cat's reminder to Yang Hongwu, several other wyverns similar to this one flew over. They were all mutated wyverns. His speed was very fast, just like a sharp arrow. He quickly rushed in the direction of Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu guessed that these wyverns were probably summoned by this little guy. "Of course not. Even if I didn't appear, it would be easy for you to deal with this little guy. Brother, you've broken through so fast. Now you're already at the peak of level 1 divine realm. When you unleash your combat strength, you can even kill a venerable realm expert easily. Although this little wyvern strength is not bad, it's only a 7th level savage beast after all," Lu Li said. Yang Hongwu smiled bitterly and said, "Lu Li, don't you think there's something wrong here? Moreover, we're in trouble again." "Ah," Lu Li stuck out her tongue and said cutely, "I didn't notice it. I was too happy. I didn't." Yang Hongwu smiled bitterly again. This little Lu Li, she was once a famous and powerful empress. How could she still have such a temper after she obtained memory inheritance? He really didn't know how she managed to reach the Emperor realm back then. "Brother, don't worry. Leave these wyverns to me." With that, Lu Li jumped up and stepped on the wyvern that she had subdued. She went up to meet the wyvern that was rushing towards them aggressively. A 7-colored long whip appeared in her hand. When she waved the long whip, it made a cracking sound. Standing there, she looked majestic and valiant. She had a unique beauty that made people feel as if they were in a painting. Yang Hongwu was a little worried about other sudden incidents. He had to jump up and walk in the air to support Lu Li. After all, this place was very strange. There might be unknown dangers around. He didn't want anything to happen to Lu Li. After flying up, Yang Hongwu's expression changed slightly. There was a huge difference between flying and climbing on the stone wall. After flying, although the pressure didn't change, the consumption of energy was dozens of times more than before. However, there's also an advantage in this way. That was the tempering and transformation of the body were faster than before. Although the pressure was the same, the cleansing and tempering of Yang Hongwu's body by the spiritual energy was nearly 3 times faster than before. Yang Hongwu had never thought of such a benefit. Moreover, in this way, Yang Hongwu didn't have to suppress his cultivation realm. Under such circumstances, the spiritual energy no longer condensed, but directly cleansed and tempered the body. Not far away, Lu Li had already encountered the wyverns. Lu Li's method was beyond Yang Hongwu's expectation. All of a sudden, she transformed into 7 figures. These 7 figures were all real and not illusory. The 7 Luli dealt with 1 wyvern each. The 7 wyverns were subdued in an instant by the 7 of them. The black dragon horns of the 7 wyverns also changed. They turned white and became docile. They lined up and flew in the direction of Yang Hongwu. Luli jumped up and pounced on Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu was caught off guard and was thrown into Luli's arms. Luli hugged Yang Hongwu's neck and said softly, "Brother, these wyverns have been subdued by me. Do you think I'm powerful?" "Yes, very powerful. Luli is the best. However, Luli, don't you want to come down first?" Yang Hongwu smelled Luli's aura and said awkwardly. Luli had the purest bloodline of dragons. She had the body of a divine dragon. He also had the bloodline of dragons. His bloodline was no worse than Luli's. When Luli was so close to him, Yang Hongwu had an indescribable feeling and a special impulse. Didn't you hug me like this before?" Luli said. Yang Hongwu smiled bitterly. In the past, this was simply a joke. He used to hug Luli like this because she was just a little girl, but now it was different. She had grown up. "Now, Luli, you have grown up. It's not appropriate for you to hug me like this," Yang Hongwu explained. He thought to himself, "This Luli, I don't know if she is pretending or doing it deliberately. What's wrong with growing up? It's the same when I grow up. Anyway, I will marry my brother in the future." After Luli finished speaking, her face blushed. Her small head was deeply buried in Yang Hongwu's arms. No matter what Yang Hongwu said, she didn't raise her head. When Yang Hongwu heard this, he was stunned. This Luli actually said such words. Yang Hongwu didn't know whether to be happy or helpless. He could only smile bitterly. "Luli, can you come down first?" Yang Hongwu said, "We still have other things to deal with. We still have to go down. There are many dangers down there. Why don't you go back to my divine mansion first?" "No." Luli finally raised her head, looked at Yang Hongwu, shook her head, and said, "I want to go with my brother. There's a powerful force down there. These little wyverns told me that there's a terrifying guy down there. The reason why they became like this is because of that guy. This time, he wants to take you back." Yang Hongwu's face sank when he heard this. There is a guy down there, a terrifying guy. The reason why these wyverns became like this and became mutant wyverns was actually because of that guy. What kind of person is he? What is his background? Chapter 677. Shattered Star's Demonic Vine. "Luli, can you ask your wyverns if they know the strength of that guy?" Yang Hongwu asked. Yang Hongwu frowned with the presence of this mysterious guy. However, he had no choice but to go down. Since he was already here, there was no reason for him not to go down. What's more, that guy didn't even come up here himself. Perhaps he was imprisoned here, like the Earth Demon Emperor. If that was the case, there was no need for him to be afraid. No matter how powerful that guy was, he was already sealed. There was no need for him to be worried. "He's very powerful." Luli said they don't even have the chance to resist or escape in front of that guy. He can easily annihilate their entire clan with just a thought. He can annihilate the entire clan of wyverns with just a thought? Yang Hongwu was shocked when he heard that. That guy was extraordinarily powerful. Although the strength of these wyverns wasn't top-notch, he was still able to annihilate them with just a thought. Could it be that the guy's strength had already reached the Great Emperor realm? Only a Great Emperor could kill so many level 7 savage beasts with just a thought. Even a great sage couldn't do it. Even if he's powerful, he still has to go down. Yang Hongwu took a deep breath and said, "I wonder who that guy is." "I don't know. These wyverns have never seen his appearance. They only heard his voice in their minds. Moreover, if they refuse him, their heads will explode and they will die." Luli shook her head and said, these were what the wyverns told her. This made her very shocked. Of course, if she was still a great emperor, she could still do this. However, if she hadn't reached the Great Emperor realm, it was almost impossible to do this. It wasn't easy to kill so many level 7 savage beasts with just a thought. Of course, there was another possibility if he wasn't a great emperor. Thinking of this, Luli said to Yang Hongwu, "Brother, actually, there's another possibility." "What's that?" Yang Hongwu asked. "That guy's strength shouldn't have reached the Great Emperor realm yet. It's absolutely impossible for someone who has reached the Great Emperor realm to be in this space, unless it's just a remnant soul. There's a great seal on this world. In addition, the law doesn't allow great emperors to exist in this space. That's the supreme law. Unless his strength has surpassed the great emperor realm, it's impossible for him to violate this law. The great emperors you've seen before are actually just the consciousness of great emperors, said Luli. The difference between the emperor realm and the saint realm and the exalt realm was too great. The earth demon's sovereign strength was comparable to the great emperor realm, but in reality, the gap between them and the great emperor realm was like heaven and earth. Great emperors, the great emperor, the great emperor, the great emperor was the great. Or, the great emperor's emperor, emperor. Emperor, emperor, emu. It was impossible for a real great emperor to take action in Jotian City. He could only take action outside of Jotian City. Once he took action in Jotian City, he would encounter great terror and cause the entire Jotian City to collapse. The great emperor who took action would also suffer endless punishment. Only those who had reached the great emperor realm would know about this. Whether he's a great emperor or not, I have to go down and take a look. Yang Hongwu said, if it was just a great emperor's thought, his strength would be greatly improved if he devoured it. If that didn't work, he could still enter the little devil world. Or he could dual cultivate with Gu Shaoxian and break through to the Yin-Yang fifth transformation realm. Then his strength would increase greatly. At that time, he could use the battle spirit possession to protect himself. Seeing that there was no way to persuade Yang Hongwu, Lu Li said, Brother, I'll go down and explore the way first. No need. Yang Hongwu shook his head. Let my psychic cat clone go down and explore the way. The strength of the psychic cat clone increased along with the strength of Yang Hongwu. Now that it had reached the venerable realm, its strength increased rapidly. The psychic cat clone continued to sink. With the strength of the venerable realm, it encountered many attacks from other savage beasts. However, the psychic cat moved quickly and didn't entangle with them. It soon dived to a position of 300 feet. Below, there was heavy fog. It was impossible to see what was going on below. This made Yang Hongwu somewhat helpless. Even the cat's delusion breaker, I couldn't see clearly. It was even more difficult for him to see with his naked eyes. Yang Hongwu wondered if he should cultivate a supernatural power similar to the delusion breaker eye. That way, it would be much more convenient. If one day the cat was in a deep sleep or left, he would be able to see the surroundings clearly. However, for Yang Hongwu, ordinary supernatural powers were nothing. At the very least, it was an emperor technique. However, an emperor technique wasn't so easy to obtain. Even if one obtained it, it wouldn't be so easy to cultivate it. Yang Hongwu's original body also continued to dive. When he reached a depth of 300 feet, he stopped, and his clone continued to dive. At this time, the clone had already reached a position of 600 feet. This position was already very far, but there was still a long way to go to the bottom. However, at this time, Yang Hongwu's psychic cat clone encountered some trouble. Vines. A huge vine attacked Yang Hongwu. The dense vines were like a person's hair. There were tens of thousands of them, and they constantly whipped towards Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu shouted softly. His body spun like a spinning top. He held the saber with both hands and constantly waved it. The saber light formed a huge whirlpool, cutting all the dense vines into pieces. One by one, the vines fell to the ground. Damn cat. The vine turned into a human face. It looked at Yang Hongwu and said in a low voice. At this time, Lin Fan's mind moved. This guy was a plant. It would be easy for Nini to deal with him. Lin Fan's original body quickly sank. In just a dozen breaths, Yang Hongwu's original body appeared beside his clone. The clone merged with his original body. Human? Clone? This vine's intelligence wasn't low. When it saw Yang Hongwu's appearance, it immediately understood that the psychic cat was just a clone. Yang Hongwu didn't have so much time to talk nonsense with this guy. He communicated with Nini telepathically. Nini, I'll leave this guy to you. And, big brother, don't worry. This should be a variant of the Shattered Star's demonic vine. There's nothing special about it. Nini said. A small shadow of a small tree appeared in the air. Its roots stretched out very quickly. In an instant, it plunged into the vine and began to absorb its power. Chapter 678. Another 9 pearl. Although the shattered star's demonic vine was powerful, it was no match for the longevity ancient tree. Nini devoured the shattered star's demonic vine's energy crazily. Suddenly, her huge body started to wither, losing its water and vitality. Not long after, she turned into dust. "It's done," Nini burped and said, "Brother, there's a lot of energy in this guy's body. It can help me improve my cultivation." Yang Hongwu understood what she meant. She was telling him that if there were more demonic vines like this, he should ask her to improve her cultivation. Yang Hongwu was overjoyed. This way, he could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. To Yang Hongwu, this was exactly what he wanted. Although Yang Hongwu could deal with the demonic vine, he would not be as fast as Nini. It was like how Luli dealt with the flying dragons. Nini was the nemesis of plant-type savage beasts. Of course, the shattered star's demonic vine was a special savage beast. It could be considered a demonic beast. There were some differences between demonic beasts and savage beasts. Demonic beasts were more intelligent than savage beasts. Generally speaking, those with lower intelligence were called savage beasts. Those with higher intelligence and stronger strength were called demonic beasts. Some demonic beasts were even born with extremely high intelligence. They were even more powerful than human babies. When they were born, they carried with them their inherited memories. Unlike humans, whose wisdom and knowledge would continue to grow as they grew older, they were born with inherited memories. In other words, they were instilled with memories. Of course, only a small number of demonic beasts or powerful savage beasts were able to do that. After a few breaths, Yang Hongwu went down again. The further down he went, the greater the pressure. The spiritual qi became denser. The spiritual qi here seemed to have become viscous, like a liquid. His movements were very slow, and he had difficulty breathing. If one was not strong enough, it would be impossible to cultivate in such a dense spiritual qi. If it was an ordinary divine realm expert, not only would he not be able to cultivate, but he would also not be able to absorb the spiritual qi. Instead, the spiritual qi in his body would be devoured. That was the most terrifying part. Moreover, the spiritual qi seemed to be constantly changing and increasing. It began to change from quantity to quality. He took a deep breath. The spiritual qi here was too terrifying and too rich. If he could absorb this spiritual qi into the space of the immortal pagoda, he might be able to obtain an unexpected harvest. With that thought in mind, Yang Hongwu gave it a try. With a thought, the space of the immortal pagoda opened, and the 9th heaven mysterious pagoda began to devour the spiritual qi like a starving tiger. All of a sudden, a huge vortex was formed. Countless amounts of spiritual energy, which was as viscous as liquid, were crazily sucked in like a dragon sucking in water. A huge spirit qi dragon was being devoured. Yang Hongwu was stunned. He had never thought that something like this would happen. It was simply too shocking. Yang Hongwu knew that something was faintly awakening inside the Immortal Tower. Once the Immortal Tower's artifact, Spirit Awakens, the strength of the Immortal Tower would rise to a whole new level. So, at this time, with a sound, a white light penetrated the spiritual qi and shot toward this side at an astonishing speed. Yang Hongwu was shocked. He waved his hand and formed a large shield, trying to block the white light, but to no avail. The white light flashed and bypassed Yang Hongwu's large shield. Yang Hongwu found that the white light entered the 9th heaven mysterious pagoda all of a sudden. It was the 9 pearl. He didn't expect it to be the 9 pearl. He had obtained a few 9 pearls with great difficulty, but he didn't expect that there would be one here, and it flew out by itself. Yang Hongwu felt a little strange. There seemed to be a voice below, which made Yang Hongwu feel terrified. It was just a sigh. Who the hell is this person? Should I continue? At this time, Yang Hongwu was a little hesitant. There was a saying that wealth came from danger. If he continued, he would obtain unexpected benefits. Of course, there would also be unknown dangers. This 9 pearl was probably released by the guy below. He had sensed the existence of the ninth heaven mysterious pagoda. What is that guy's purpose? Does he want me to go down? Yang Hongwu didn't know. He didn't have a clue, but this had indeed successfully aroused Yang Hongwu's curiosity. The 9 pearl was very tempting to Yang Hongwu. It was even more tempting than the emperor weapon. Yang Hongwu had an emperor weapon, but the 9 pearl was a part of the ninth heaven mysterious pagoda. If an emperor weapon and a 9 pearl were placed in front of Yang Hongwu, without any hesitation, Yang Hongwu would choose the 9 pearl. With the addition of the 9 pearl, the ninth heaven mysterious pagoda's power increased, and the artifact's spirit recovered faster. The speed of absorbing spiritual qi was also faster than before. Moreover, the ninth heaven mysterious pagoda didn't just absorb spiritual qi. At this time, it also fed back to Yang Hongwu, increasing his strength and tempering his physical body. Originally, Yang Hongwu's physical body had been tempered to the extreme. If he wanted to continue tempering, it wasn't possible. The spiritual qi here was too overbearing compared to above. Even if Yang Hongwu's physical body was very strong, it was still difficult for him to bear. However, the spiritual qi fed back by the ninth heaven mysterious pagoda was different. It was very gentle. This gentle spiritual qi was constantly healing some of the minor internal injuries that Yang Hongwu had caused when he forcefully tempered his physical body. Nini's strength was also increasing. She was also absorbing the spiritual qi. After absorbing it, she released pure energy. This energy was the power of longevity. This power of longevity was very beneficial to Yang Hongwu's body. Nini absorbed the spiritual qi and fed it back to Yang Hongwu. This couldn't be said to be the longevity pond's water from before. It had far surpassed that level. God knows how many people would fight for a drop of it. It was priceless. No, it was priceless. These things could increase the lifespan of martial artists and improve their physique. It was the dream of those old antiques who had reached the end of their lifespan. If someone saw how extravagant Yang Hongwu was using the spiritual qi to heal and temper his physical body, they would be heartbroken. After an unknown period of time, the absorption speed of the immortal pagoda slowed down. Nini also stopped absorbing spiritual qi. Yang Hongwu's strength had broken through. Divine Realm Level 2. Yang Hongwu's strength had reached Divine Realm Level 2. Moreover, it was stable at the peak of Divine Realm Level 2. Chapter 679. Kong Chiu, come down. A voice rang out in Yang Hongwu's mind. It was an old voice that sounded very tired. Who is it? Don't worry, I won't harm you. The voice said. Who are you? Yang Hongwu frowned. He wouldn't go down so easily. I told you, don't be afraid. You'll know who I am when you come down. The voice said. Brother, I don't recommend going down. Nini said. I don't recommend it either. It's too dangerous. Luli also said at this time. Yes, the two sisters are right. Brother, it's too dangerous. It's best not to go. Even Mao said so. Don't you want a 9 pearl? The voice said again. Looking down, he couldn't see the bottom. 9 pearl. If it was the 9 pearl, he had to get it. If he couldn't get the 9 pearl, the 9 heavens mysterious tower wouldn't be complete, and he wouldn't be able to find out the true secret. The 9 heavens mysterious tower couldn't be completely opened. Yang Hongwu had a feeling that there was a huge secret in the 9 heavens mysterious tower. And this huge secret could only be found out after the 9 heavens mysterious tower was completely restored. At this time, the immortal tower's spirit hadn't recovered yet, but it seemed to have awakened a little. Go! A message appeared in Yang Hongwu's mind. That was the immortal tower's spirit. After sending out this message, Yang Hongwu couldn't get the immortal tower to send out any other message. This made Yang Hongwu feel very helpless. The immortal tower asked him to go down. Clearly, there really was the 9 pearl below. It was another part of the immortal tower. If you're really worried, you could send a clone down. Your spiritual cat clone. The voice said again. Yang Hongwu thought about it. This was good. With a thought, the spiritual cat clone appeared. To Yang Hongwu, even if the spiritual cat clone was killed, it wouldn't be fatal to Yang Hongwu. It would just lower his strength and take a long time to recover. His life wasn't in danger. However, if something really happened to the clone, it would be dangerous for him to participate in the Immortal Mansion ranking battle and enter the 5 extreme space in a month's time. The spiritual cat clone appeared next to the Immortal Tower. Immortal Tower. Immortal Tower was. However, if the mysterious guy below really wanted to harm him, even if the strength of the doppelganger was increased by another level, it would still be easily killed. Yang Hongwu, Immortal Tower. After 80 breaths of time, the clone descended to the lowest level. Because of the mysterious man's order, Yang Hongwu didn't encounter any powerful savage beasts or demonic beasts along the way. The journey was very smooth, but along the way, Yang Hongwu clearly sensed many powerful auras. These powerful auras were even stronger than the Earth Devil Human King. The Immortal Transcend Tower. Yang Hongwu, Immortal Tower. Immortal Tower. Yang Hongwu, Immortal Tower. It was a pity that it was just a puppet and not a real spiritual cat. Otherwise, Yang Hongwu Immortal Tower's strength would be 10 times or even 10,000 times stronger. When he reached the bottom, a teleportation array appeared before him. Enter the teleportation array. It will send you here. The voice said. Without any hesitation, Yang Hongwu stepped into the teleportation array. A ray of light flashed, and Yang Hongwu felt a wave of dizziness. Then, in the next moment, he appeared in a special space. The immortal chi in this space was very rich, and the scenery was very beautiful. It was like a paradise on Earth. In this immortal secret realm, a middle-aged man in scholarly robes sat beside a pond. He held a fishing rod in his hand. Who the hell are you? Looking at this person, Yang Hongwu Immortal Tower. He was more ordinary than an ordinary person. It was as if this world was him. If one didn't use their eyes, they wouldn't be able to sense his existence. He was clearly sitting there, but there was no trace of his aura. Terrifying, too terrifying. Although this was only Yang Hongwu Immortal Tower's clone, his eyesight was still there. He could see the same thing as the main body. However, if the clone couldn't see it, the main body would be the same. The man sighed and turned around. He had the appearance of an ordinary Confucian scholar. He was very ordinary, and there was nothing special about him. However, Yang Hongwu Immortal Tower had a very harmonious appearance. It was as if he was the world. This made Yang Hongwu think of a phrase, unity of heaven and man. Yes, unity of heaven and man. It was a perfect fusion between heaven and earth. He was there. He was the heaven and earth. It was harmonious to the extreme. There was nothing wrong with it. Yang Hongwu Immortal Tower took a deep breath. This scholar's cultivation had probably reached the Great Emperor realm. Only great emperors could achieve unity of heaven and man. The true unity of heaven and man, ordinary people, even great sages, couldn't do it. I once had a name called Kong Xiao, the scholar said. Yang Hongwu Immortal Tower didn't think much of it at first. He just felt that the name was a little familiar. However, suddenly, Yang Hongwu Immortal Tower's eyes widened. Kong Xiao, King Kong Xiao. Wasn't that Confucius's name? Confucius, the sage, was a famous figure on Earth. He was the founder of Confucianism, a true almighty. Sage Kong, you're not joking with me, right? You're that Kong Xiao? Yang Hongwu Immortal Tower didn't know what to say. His voice was trembling. That's right. I came from the same place as you. Kong Xiao looked at Yang Hongwu Immortal Tower and said, I didn't expect that after so many years, another fellow countryman would come to Jiuqian City. We've waited for too long. Senior, you really came from there? Yang Hongwu Immortal Tower took a deep breath. Then Qiu Xing Tian by Qi and the others also came from that place. The scholar nodded and said, That's right. We all came from the same place. Every 9,000 years, a fellow countryman would appear. However, after Zhang Sanfeng, he hadn't appeared for 100,000 years. You're the one we waited for a full 100,000 years for. 100,000 years. Yang Hongwu Immortal Tower was stunned. One every 9,000 years, and it was 100,000 years for him. In that world, Zhang Sanfeng's era was the Ming Dynasty, and his era was the 21st century. The difference was only a few hundred years. However, here, how did it become 100,000 years? Moreover, it seemed that after coming to this world, everyone was a man of great talent and great wisdom. What about himself? Only he was an ordinary person, right? Senior, is there any difference between this world and our world? Or is there any connection? Yang Hongwu, Immortal Tower asked. Chapter 680. Another bead. Of course there is a connection, Kong Chiu said. Otherwise, we wouldn't have entered this world for no reason. Senior, are you saying that the reason we appeared in this world is because there is a special connection between this world and our world? Yang Hongwu asked. Then what is this connection? Why are we here? Even I am not too sure about this. Kong Chiu shook his head. Kong Chiu shook his head. However, one thing is certain. We were able to enter this place because of a mighty figure. Perhaps it was the master of our original world who sent us here. The master of our world? Isn't that the great god Pangu? Yang Hongwu asked. No, it isn't. Kong Chiu shook his head. If it isn't the great god Pangu, then is it Tao ancestor Hongjun? Yang Hongwu asked again. According to the legends, one of them was a super expert who created the world, and the other was Tao ancestor Hongjun, who ruled the world and merged with the Tao. Both of them were super strong. Legend had it that the great god Pangu died when the world was created, and his body turned into the primitive lands. As for Tao ancestor Hongjun, he used his body to fuse with the Tao, mending the incomplete heavenly Tao and becoming the strongest ruler of the entire great desolate world. Of course, that was just a legend on Earth. No one knew if it was true or not. Yang Hongwu himself was not sure. Not really. Kong Chiu shook his head and said, You don't have to ask about this. I also want to know who it is. Senior, how many people came with us in this world? Yang Hongwu asked. Who was the strongest person? How many people came with us in total? I don't know either, Kong Chiu said with a bitter smile. Kong Chiu smiled bitterly. Perhaps there were people who were transmitted here from that world a long time ago, but they may have died, or their strength may have surpassed a certain level. In fact, even the legendary Pangu, who created the world, also came to this world and did not die. The great god Pangu is also in this world? That's right. Great god Pangu has come as well. Furthermore, he was the first to arrive in this world. However, Pangu has already ascended to a higher level. He has long since surpassed the 9 heavens and 10 earths and is no longer in this universe. Yang Hongwu took a deep breath. He doubted Kong Chiu's words. Kong Chiu was not that simple. Of course, even if Yang Hongwu was suspicious, he would not show it, let alone say it out loud. Regardless of whether the other party was a friend or foe, he had to get the benefits first. Yang Hongwu looked at Kong Chiu and said, These things are too far away from me. What I want now is not these things, but to raise my cultivation base. I can't even go up to the heaven region now. If I face supremacies and saints, I will only die. Therefore, Senior, if you really have a 9 pearl, can you give it to me? After all, that thing is useless to you. In fact, Yang Hongwu was more than 90% sure that this guy was not Kong Chiu at all. He did not come from the same place as him. This was because the wyverns from before had all been demonized and carried demonic chi. The person in front of him looked righteous on the surface, like a Confucian gentleman. He was very similar to the sage Confucius in his heart. But in reality, the real sage Confucius might not be like this. Sage Confucius might have really come to this world, but it was definitely not him. Of course, Yang Hongwu would not expose him now. He still wanted to get what he wanted. Yang Hongwu was not confident that he could deal with this guy. Therefore, he could not fall out with him now. Once he did, things would not be so simple. This clone of his was definitely not a match for him. Even if he sacrificed one of his clones, it would not be life-threatening for Yang Hongwu. But in that case, Yang Hongwu would not be able to break through his cultivation base in a short time. This was not a small blow. The 9 pearl is of no use to me. I obtained this pearl when I killed the demon, Kong Chiu said as he raised his hand. As Kong Chiu spoke, he waved his hand and a pearl spun in his hand. This pearl emitted a cold aura. It was the 9 pearl. He flicked it gently, and the pearl flew towards Yang Hongwu. I only have two here. I just gave you one, so now I only have this one. However, I still know of a place where 19 pearls exist. However, with your current cultivation, you are still too weak. If you go there, it will be the same as going to your death. Kong Xiu's words revealed his concern for Yang Hongwu. The 19 pearl flew towards Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu frowned slightly, but did not show any other expression on his face. He reached out and wrapped the pearl with his spiritual power. He said, "Oh, Senior, please speak frankly. Where's that place? Senior, you should know that the 19 pearl is extremely important to me. If I'm able to obtain it, then my strength will ceaselessly increase. To tell you the truth, I'm going to do something important in a little over a month from now. At that time, it will be filled with danger, and it can be said that I'll have a slim chance of survival. So, I need to do my best to increase my cultivation during this period of a little over a month. If I'm able to attain the first step of the Exalt realm, then I'll have sufficient strength to protect myself." Yang Hongwu did not inspect the pearl directly. He did not sense anything strange. However, one must always be vigilant. Was this pearl really the 19 pearl? Although the pearl looked very similar to the 19 pearl, Yang Hongwu discovered that there was a restriction on it. The restriction was not very obvious, but Yang Hongwu still discovered it. The first step of the Exalted Realm? That's a problem. I can help you to reach the first Venerable Realm in a short time, but that won't do you any good in the future. There's no shortcut in cultivation. You have to build a good foundation one step at a time. Your foundation is the strongest I've ever seen. I'm afraid that God Pangu isn't much stronger than you. You have the potential to surpass God Pangu. If I help you, it'll be like pulling a seedling to help it grow. If I help you improve your cultivation base, I will only help you improve your cultivation base. Kong Xiu looked at Yang Hongwu and said, "However, if you integrate this 9 pearl into the 9 heaven mysterious tower, your cultivation base will improve by 1 or 2 levels. It should not be a problem for you to reach the 3rd or 4th level of the divine realm. However, there's a restriction on it. This restriction is very strange. It will not be easy to break it." Yang Hongwu was not surprised. Kong Xiu knew that he had seen through the restriction on it. Sure enough, he was not a simple character. Was he really Confucius? Yang Hongwu was really confused. Chapter 681. Restriction Break. "Oh, Senior, is this restriction very difficult to break? I think with Senior's strength, it shouldn't be too difficult for you to break a restriction, right?" Yang Hongwu looked at Kong Xiu and said, "This guy is probably a hypocrite. Maybe he was the one who set up this restriction." Kong Xiu shook his head. "If I'm in my peak condition, I can break this restriction. But I can't do it now. Is there really no other way?" Yang Hongwu said with a helpless look on his face. "Maybe you can do it yourself." Kong Xiu said, "I suspect that the restriction on this bead was set up by the previous owner of the Immortal Tower in order to wait for a fated person. You can give it a try. Perhaps you can break the restriction." When Yang Hongwu heard this, he finally gave himself away. "You want me to break this restriction by myself? Isn't that the same as falling into your trap?" However, he probably didn't expect that I have a special method to break this restriction. Although this restriction is powerful and mysterious, if I don't touch it, it won't have any effect on me. I'll give it a try," Yang Hongwu said and took out a few restriction pills. Then, he threw the bead in the air. The restriction pills flew out and hit the bead. Rays of light exploded one after another. The restriction on the bead burst out. Soul restriction. A ray of purple light shot out. That's the restriction on the bead. It's a soul restriction. Once someone touches this restriction, they will be attacked by this soul restriction. The soul restriction can control the soul of the person who breaks the restriction and then take over their body. This is really vicious. Even if it's just a clone, once the soul is controlled by this restriction, the main body will also be greatly restricted. It's not impossible to control the main body with the cloned soul. When one's strength reaches a certain level, or if the difference in strength is too great, it's possible to control the soul of the main body through the clone. Yang Hongwu sneered. This time, he went for wool and came home shorn. This restriction was incomparably powerful and overbearing, but the backlash force was also very strong. If he failed, he would suffer a backlash. Kong Qiu had used a pill to break the seal, but he had never come into contact with a hex-breaking pill. Furthermore, pills did not have souls, so the fact that the seal was broken caused Kong Qiu's body to shudder. A look of disbelief appeared in his eyes. His soul was injured, but he didn't show it. Of course, his expression was one of extreme shock. He had never thought that things would turn out like this. This lad's cultivation was only at the early divine realm, but he had actually broken the restrictive formation in front of him. He didn't even know how Yang Hongwu had broken the formation. Surprised, he was really too surprised. Of course, although he was very angry at Yang Hongwu and hurt him, he didn't show it. Because this was only a clone, there was no way for him to use the restriction to possess it. If he were to expose himself now, it wouldn't do him any good. What he wanted to do now was to lure Yang Hongwu's original body down. As long as he could lure his true self down, he would be able to truly control him. The restrictive formation is broken. Yang Hongwu grabbed the pearl. To Yang Hongwu's surprise, it was really a Nining pearl. The restrictive formation had cut off the connection between the Nining pearl and the immortal pagoda. Now that the restrictive formation was broken, the Nining pearl immediately entered the immortal pagoda and fused with it. The aura of the immortal pagoda was constantly changing and rising. Yang Hongwu's strength was also constantly improving. He had actually risen another level, reaching level 3 of the divine realm. After reaching level 3 of the divine realm, it was even more difficult to raise his strength. He thought that he would be able to reach level 4 of the divine realm this time, but there were no changes. Of course, Yang Hongwu's clone, the psychic cat clone, had also gained a huge benefit, and his fighting strength had undergone another transformation. Congratulations, your strength has increased. Although Kong Qiu was feeling pained, he didn't show it on his face. Instead, he looked happy as he looked at Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu had already noticed the change in Kong Qiu. As long as his original body didn't come down, Kong Qiu couldn't do anything to him. Of course, even if his original body came down, Kong Qiu might not be able to do anything to him. I have to thank Senior for your help this time. If not for the Nining pearl that you gave me, I would still be at level 1 of the divine realm, Yang Hongwu said with a smile. Indeed, if this guy didn't take out the Nining pearl, he wouldn't be able to do anything to him. This guy's strength was beyond his expectations. Even if he was sealed here, he couldn't do anything to him. No, I didn't help you. This is the result of your own efforts. Kong Qiu shook his head and said, your talent is outstanding. However, I'm curious. How did you break the restrictive formation just now? Are you a restrictive formation master? Kong Qiu miscalculated, but he didn't understand how Lin Fan broke his restrictive formation. With Kong Qiu's strength, he was very confident in the restrictive formation that he had set up. Even a saint-level restrictive formation master wouldn't be able to break this restrictive formation so easily. Moreover, it would cause him such a huge backlash. He must have some special treasure or some other secret technique. He had to figure out and get it. If he could get the secret, he might be able to break the restrictive formation and escape. He had been trapped here for tens of thousands of years. It wasn't a good feeling at all. This was a rare opportunity. More importantly, this guy's physique was very strong, and his physique was very special. If he could seize his body, not only would he be able to regain his freedom, his strength would also have the chance to reach a higher level. Of course, there were people who had entered this place over the years. However, those people's physiques were too weak. Their physiques weren't as strong as this guy's, and their sea of consciousness was far inferior. They couldn't bear his soul and primordial spirit. Once he seized the body, the possibility of failure was too high. It was almost impossible to succeed. However, this guy could. Thinking of this, a demonic rune flashed in the depths of Kong Qiu's eyes. This demonic rune flashed and disappeared. Even Yang Hongwu didn't notice it. Yang Hongwu shook his head and said, I'm not a restrictive formation master. However, I accidentally found some pills in an ancient relic. These pills are very special. They're called restriction-breaking pills. They can break restrictive formations. However, there aren't many of them, so I don't dare to use them casually. However, I've used these restriction-breaking pills several times in the past, and all the restrictive formations I encountered were broken. Chapter 682. Mutual Calculation. That's right. It's the seal-breaking pill. I got it by accident. I used a few of them just now. Now, there are only 2 left. In fact, Yang Hongwu could concoct countless seal-breaking pills as long as he had enough materials. However, Yang Hongwu was not stupid enough to say it out loud. It was a huge secret. Let me have a look. Kong Qiu was a little excited. Seal-breaking pills. If there was such a magical thing, then he could use these pills to break the seal that sealed him. At that time, he would not need to possess the body. It would be better if he could go out with his original body. Although Yang Hongwu's physical body was very good and he was very talented, he was still inferior to Kong Qiu. Kong Qiu's physical body and talent were not as good as Yang Hongwu's, but they were not too bad. Moreover, once his original body came out, he would be able to recover to his peak state in a short time. If he were to take over Yang Hongwu's body, who knew how long it would take for him to recover to his peak state? Moreover, there was another reason. Possession was extremely dangerous. If he was not careful, he could be doomed eternally. For a person with great luck like Yang Hongwu, the difficulty of seizing his body was not ordinary. If an accident happened, it would be troublesome. Therefore, possession was something that would only be done as a last resort. If it wasn't a last resort, no one would choose to possess someone else's body. Of course, for those who had poor aptitudes but met those super geniuses, such people would do anything for the sake of their future and improvement. There were also those who had reached the limit of their lifespan. In order to continue living, they would fight with their lives on the line. This was very normal. However, not everyone would have such an opportunity. Possession wasn't as simple as one would imagine. Not everyone knew about the possession technique. There weren't many people who truly understood the possession technique. It would be great if there was a seal-breaking pill that could break the seal. Therefore, when he heard that Yang Hongwu had a pill that could break the seal, how could he not be shocked and happy? Here, the corner of Yang Hongwu's mouth curled up into a smile. The fish had taken a bait. This guy wanted to deal with him. And what was worse was that he wanted to take over his body. If Yang Hongwu didn't teach him a lesson, he would be letting himself down. Moreover, he still wanted the spiritual vein below him. Who was this guy? Was it really Kong Qiu? Was it the Kong Qiu who had turned into a demon? No matter what, he had to teach him a lesson now. If he really wanted to fight, he was no match for him, but he could think of various ways to deal with him. Everyone had their own weaknesses, and this guy obviously had one as well. Now, it could be seen that his desire for the restriction-breaking pill surpassed his desire to possess Yi Shiwen's body. This guy should be the same as the Earth Demon Emperor sealed here. In other words, this guy was on the same side as the Earth Demon Emperor. They were both demons, but this guy's status, strength, and even the number of years he had been sealed here was much older and stronger than the Earth Demon Emperor. Yang Hongwu was curious. How did this guy know so much? Sage Confucius, Great Emperor Pangu, and so on. How did he know all these? Did he use some special method to learn all these from his memory? Or did he know all these from the beginning? If he knew all these from his memory, then this guy was really too terrifying. If he knew all these from the beginning and came from Earth, then it would be better, and Yang Hongwu wouldn't be so worried. If this guy had obtained the information from his memories, then this guy was too terrifying. He was able to obtain his memories silently. Such a person was the most terrifying. As the saying goes, know thyself and know thy enemy, and thou shalt be victorious in every battle. If he didn't know all his cards were exposed in front of him, how tragic would that be? However, Yang Hongwu thought about it again and breathed a sigh of relief. If he really knew so much from his memory, then he should also know about the restriction-breaking pill in his memory, and he wouldn't be so excited. Thinking of this, Yang Hongwu was relieved. At least he was sure of one thing. This guy couldn't read his memory, but got the information from other places. Or, this guy really came from Earth, but he wasn't Sage Confucius. He might be a devil. Or perhaps, this guy had killed someone from Earth and obtained his memories. Or perhaps, he had taken over someone else's body. However, no matter what the result was, it wasn't a good thing. It proved that this guy was not a good person, otherwise he wouldn't be sealed here. Moreover, he wouldn't have the demonic nature to refine those flying dragons into demonic dragons. A strong person, no matter what kind of strong person, to reach the peak, they had to step on countless people's corpses and bones to grow. Even sage Confucius, a person with great merit. Yang Hongwu wouldn't be so stupid to believe that they really came to this world without any bloody means or killing people. Yang Hongwu wasn't a fool. Even on Earth, Sage Confucius was praised in all kinds of ways, but was he really like that? Didn't he do anything wrong? Of course not. It was just that these shortcomings and these mistakes were not recorded. Yang Hongwu believed that even a real sage was wrong. Of course, this sage didn't mean the sage in this world. That saint referred to a person with great merit and great wisdom, not a cultivator who had reached a certain level of cultivation. The sage in the martial arts realm could be called the sage of the heavenly path. The restriction-breaking pill was grabbed by Kong Xiao. It was so fast that the pill in Yang Hongwu's hand disappeared and fell into Kong Xiao's hand before he noticed it. This guy's strength was really too terrifying and powerful. Until now, Yang Hongwu really realized how terrifying this guy was. The two restriction-breaking pills in Yang Hongwu's hand were not 7th grade restriction-breaking pills, but 6th grade ones. The 7th grade restriction-breaking pills had been used by Yang Hongwu. He thought that if he gave this guy a perfect 7th grade restriction-breaking pill, if he really used it to break the restriction and break the seal, then he would be the unlucky one. Chapter 683. The successor of the God-refining great emperor. It's indeed mysterious. I wonder which great emperor of the alchemy, Tao, refined it. It's simply unbelievable. He was shocked after obtaining the pill. Could it be that he has also come to this plane? Kong Xiao muttered. Who is he? In our world, there's a powerful alchemist, a true expert called Taishang Laojun. You should know that he's extremely powerful. He's one of the top existences in our plane. In our world, he's called a sage. However, he's not the sage of this world. In fact, the sage of our world is only equivalent to a golden immortal. The sage of the other world is equivalent to a great emperor. Taishang Laojun? Yang Hongwu obviously knew about it. Who was Taishang Laojun? He was a powerful sage, the leader of a sect. He was a true sage. His primordial spirit was placed in the void, immortal and indestructible. Of course, he didn't know if the great emperor of this world was immortal or not. Yang Hongwu's cultivation had yet to reach that level, so he didn't know about it. However, there was one thing that he knew, and that was that the saints in his world were truly powerful. What was the relationship between this world and that world? Yang Hongwu didn't know either. Moreover, he didn't know if the secret alchemy technique he obtained was related to Taishang Laojun or if it was passed down by him. Did you only get these few pills? Kong Xiao asked while looking at the pills in his hand. Although these 2 medicinal pills were of some help to him, they weren't very useful. These 2 medicinal pills weren't enough to open the seal. If he wanted to open a seal, he would need a pill that was at least tier 8 or above. Therefore, what he wanted now was not the elixir, but the alchemy method. Once he got the alchemy method, he might be able to refine a restriction-breaking elixir that was above the 8th grade to break these restrictions. However, it wasn't an easy task. The problem now was that this guy only had pills. Of course, he might have a pill concoction technique, but Kong Xiao didn't think so. After all, the pill concoction technique was too mysterious and shocking. In other words, this pill refining art was definitely more impressive than monarch arts. Perhaps emperor techniques were created by seizing the fortune of heaven and earth, but the art of alchemy was an existence that surpassed emperor techniques. The restriction-breaking pill was a pill that could break through powerful and mysterious restrictions even in the hands of ordinary people. With these pills, those ancient restrictions would not be able to withstand a single blow. Since there was a limit-breaking pill, wouldn't there be other pills as well? For example, the formation-breaking pill? There were even offensive pills or restriction pills. It had to be said that Kong Xiao was a smart guy. From the limit-breaking pill, he was able to connect many things, and his guesses were not far from the truth. This was his true strength. Yes, Yang Hongwu nodded. There are only a few limit-breaking pills. I'm talking about other pills. If there are limit-breaking pills, will there be formation-breaking pills or something like that? Kong Qiu looked at Yang Hongwu with a burning gaze. Yang Hongwu shook his head. There are no other pills, only limit-breaking pills. Are there any books or jade slips? Kong Qiu asked again. No. Of course, Yang Hongwu knew what Kong Qiu was up to. In fact, he had the alchemy technique of the limit-breaking pill, and so did the jade slips. However, Yang Hongwu wasn't stupid enough to tell Kong Qiu that he had concocted the pill himself. Kong Qiu didn't believe him. Since he had the pills, there must be other pills, but he didn't say it out loud. However, it was impossible for Kong Qiu to force him to say it out loud. After knowing these things, Kong Qiu was even more determined not to let Yang Hongwu go. You really don't have it? It doesn't make sense. Where did you get these pills? Kong Qiu asked again. It was in an ancient ruin. Back then, I used the Great Shift Talisman and encountered spatial turbulence. I entered that ruin and experienced a narrow escape. Only then did I obtain these pills. There were other things inside, but I didn't have the strength to do so. Yang Hongwu's performance was definitely top-notch, at the level of an award-winning actor. He believed that there were ancient ruins, but Yang Hongwu didn't get anything other than some pills. It was impossible for him to believe that. Moreover, Yang Hongwu wasn't a simple person. He had great luck and great talent. He was a person who was favored by the heavens. In fact, those who were able to enter this world from that space, without exception, were all people who possessed extremely strong luck. Whether it was Pangu or others, everyone was one of the protagonists of luck in that side of the world, just like himself. Therefore, if he obtained this medicinal pill, it would definitely not be just these. There would definitely be other things. And it was precisely because his luck was so great that it was even more terrifying than Kong Qiu's own that Kong Qiu was so hesitant when he thought about seizing Yang Hongwu's body. Because if the seizing failed, Kong Qiu might really be doomed eternally. Of course, if Kong Qiu's original body came down and Yang Hongwu hadn't grown up yet, seizing Yang Hongwu's body wouldn't be impossible. Once Kong Qiu succeeded, he would seize Yang Hongwu's body and obtain his luck. His strength would undergo a huge change. What kind of ruins are they? How do we enter? Kong Qiu asked. I don't know. Yang Hongwu said. As I said, I entered by accident. When I came out, I was also transported out. Kong Qiu knew that Yang Hongwu wasn't telling the truth, but he didn't want to shed all pretense of cordiality at this time. Instead, he shook his head and sighed. It's a pity, it's really a pity. If you can leave some information in that relic, a spatial imprint, or some coordinates, that would be great. If I'm not mistaken, that relic was left behind by Grand Supreme Elderly Lord. As a person from our world, you should know how powerful Grand Supreme Elderly Lord is. Grand Supreme Elderly Lord is one of the most powerful people in our world. His strength is terrifying, and even the refined God Great Emperor has to give him some face in this world. Grand Supreme Elderly Lord is one of the strongest great emperors in the 9 heavens, 10 earths. Even Kong Qiu himself couldn't help but admire him. Although Kong Qiu and Grand Supreme Elderly Lord were sworn enemies, Kong Qiu was sealed here because of Grand Supreme Elderly Lord. At the mention of Grand Supreme Elderly Lord, Kong Qiu's eyes flashed with a cold light. He finally remembered that although this kid had the soul aura of that side of the world, he also had the aura of Grand Supreme Elderly Lord. He cultivated Grand Supreme Elderly Lord's cultivation method, which meant that this kid was the successor of Grand Supreme Elderly Lord. No wonder he could enter this place with his current cultivation. If he was the successor of Grand Supreme Elderly Lord, then it wouldn't be strange at all. Chapter 684. Entry martial technique. Kong Qiu's eyes were filled with hatred when he thought of the God Refinement Great Emperor. Back then, it was none other than the God Refinement Emperor who had sealed him here, preventing him from seeing the light of day. Damn it, damn it. The God Refinement Great Emperor's strength was undeniable. No one in the 9 heavens and 10 earths could match him. Of course, that was excluding those who had left the 9 heavens and 10 earths. However, after so many years, Kong Xiu wondered if the god refinement Great Emperor was still in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Now that the guy in front of him was his disciple, he wondered if the old man was still in this world. If he could possess Yang Hongwu and obtain the god refinement Great Emperor's inheritance, he was confident that he could find the god refinement Great Emperor's weakness and defeat him. Because of the god refinement Great Emperor's situation, Kong Xiu made up his mind to possess Yang Hongwu no matter what. He wanted to bring Yi Futian's true body down here and possess him. His hatred for the god refinement Great Emperor had reached an unimaginable level. The legendary strongest Great Emperor, the god refinement Great Emperor? Yang Hongwu asked. That's right. He's the strongest Great Emperor. Kong Xiu said, if I'm not wrong, you must have obtained part of the inheritance of the refined God Great Emperor. Not bad, not bad. You're really lucky to have obtained part of the inheritance of the refined God Great Emperor. It's a pity that you didn't obtain the complete inheritance. Otherwise, your strength would be much greater than this. The refined God Great Emperor was the most powerful Great Emperor. His strength was extremely terrifying. He was an invincible existence in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. If you obtained the complete inheritance, I'm afraid that you would have broken through to the venerable realm or even higher. Yang Hongwu's eyes widened. The god refinement Great Emperor's inheritance? Senior, you're saying that I obtained the god refinement Great Emperor's inheritance? I only obtained a mental cultivation technique by accident. Could it be the god refinement Great Emperor's inheritance? That's not right. It's just an ordinary mental cultivation technique. There's nothing special about it. I only cultivated it to stabilize my mind. Ordinary? Hearing this, Kong Xiu chuckled and said faintly, how can the cultivation method of the refined god, Great Emperor, be ordinary? If I'm not mistaken, what you're cultivating is the foundational cultivation technique of Emperor refinement of the god-refining Great Emperor. It's just that you haven't cultivated it to the highest level yet. If you can cultivate it to the Great Perfection realm, you'll be able to obtain the follow-up cultivation technique. I've interacted with Emperor refinement of the god-refining Great Emperor before. You have the aura of Emperor refinement of the god-refining Great Emperor. It's just that you haven't cultivated to that level yet, so you haven't obtained his inheritance. Senior, how can I obtain the inheritance of god-refining Great Emperor? Yang Hongwu asked. Of course, Yang Hongwu wanted to obtain the inheritance of the god-refining Great Emperor. Even though Yang Hongwu had the 9 transformations Yin-Yang Harmony art, no, it should be the 9 heavens divine dragon technique. He was no exception. The inheritance of Emperor refinement of the god-refining Great Emperor was the strongest person in the 9 heavens 10 earths, the strongest Great Emperor. He was the one and only person in the 9 heavens 10 earths. From Kong Xiu's tone, it seemed like it wasn't just the 9 heavens 10 earths, it wasn't just the Great Emperor, but also the realm above the Great Emperor. Those who were stronger than the Great Emperor, and those who had surpassed the Great Emperor, had all left the 9 heavens 10 earths. As for Pangu and the others, they had left the 9 heavens 10 earths for a higher level, or rather, a wider space. Well, I don't know either. However, if you cultivate your current psychic power cultivation method, which is the foundation cultivation method of Emperor refinement of the god-refining Great Emperor to the Great Perfection realm, there should be a hint. Or perhaps the place where you obtained this cultivation method will give you a hint, said Kong Xiu. Yang Hongwu was a little disappointed by his words. It was as if he didn't say anything. However, it wasn't easy to cultivate the God-Refining Heart Sutra to the Great Perfection realm. Yang Hongwu had been cultivating it for so long, but he hadn't been able to cultivate it to the Great Perfection realm. Moreover, his cultivation speed was getting slower and slower. Recently, his God-Refining Heart Sutra hadn't improved at all. However, on second thought, it was understandable. After all, it was the cultivation technique of Emperor refinement of the God-Refining Great Emperor. Even if it was just a basic cultivation technique, it wasn't that simple. Yang Hongwu guessed that the formation back then existed to test the inheritor. The 7 formations were just a basic test. Once passed, one would be able to obtain the God-refining Heart Sutra, which was also a proof to enter the God-refining Great Emperor's inheritance. After obtaining this proof and cultivating it to the Great Perfection realm, one would have the chance to enter the God-refining Great Emperor's inheritance test. It was just a chance. If one obtained the God-refining Heart Sutra and failed to cultivate it to the Great Perfection realm, they wouldn't even have the chance to become the inheritor of Emperor Refinement of the God-refining Great Emperor. Of course, all of this was just Yang Hongwu's guess. Whether it was true or not, he wouldn't know. He would have to wait until he cultivated the God-refining Heart Sutra to the Great Perfection realm to know. Thank you for your reminder, Senior. However, I'm afraid I won't have a chance. I've obtained this spiritual cultivation technique for a long time. I've only made some progress at the beginning. Now, I haven't made any progress for a long time. Yang Hongwu smiled bitterly. This wasn't an act, it was the truth. The difficulty of cultivating the God-refining Heart Sutra was beyond Yang Hongwu's expectations. Yang Hongwu even felt that this cultivation technique was more difficult than cultivating the 9 transformation Yin-Yang Harmony Art. Since you've obtained this cultivation technique, it's enough to prove that you're qualified to become the inheritor of Emperor Refinement of the God-refining Great Emperor. However, Emperor Refinement of the God-refining Great Emperor's cultivation technique isn't that easy to obtain, nor is it easy to cultivate. Think about it. In the entire 9 heavens and 10 earths, there's only one person on the same level as Emperor Refinement of the God-refining Great Emperor. If such a super genius cultivation technique was that easy to cultivate, Emperor Refinement of the God-refining Great Emperor wouldn't be an invincible Great Emperor. Kong Qiu couldn't help but laugh when he heard Yang Hongwu's words. That's true. Chapter 685. The Sea of Destruction. Senior, do you know about the Mountain of Death? Yang Hongwu thought for a while. Since this guy was here, it was impossible for him to get the spiritual vein below. Yang Hongwu was not willing to take the risk. However, he had already gained a lot of benefits. One should be content with what one had. Greed was like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. That was not a good thing. Those who were too greedy usually did not have a good ending. Yang Hongwu was very clear about this. There was a time when one should stop before going too far. Those who were too greedy usually died miserably. As the saying goes, those who are content with what they have will always be happy. What's more, Yang Hongwu had already obtained the greatest benefit, 219 pearls. This could be said to be a huge gain, far exceeding his expectations. The Mountain of Death? Kong Qiu said. Of course I know about it. The Mountain of Death was the entrance to the sorcerer tribe. Kong Qiu said. Senior, can you tell me? Yang Hongwu was pleasantly surprised. If he could learn something about the sorcerer tribe and the Mountain of Death from this guy, it would be a great thing. However, Yang Hongwu knew that this guy might not tell him everything he knew. The Mountain of Death is full of dangers. A long time ago, it was the sorcerer tribe's encampment. However, there was a great change in the sorcerer tribe. The sorcerer tribe encountered a huge disaster, which led to the extinction of the sorcerer tribe. Therefore, the Mountain of Death became a place of death. It is said that there is an ancestral sorcerer palace in the Mountain of Death. It is the inheritance place of the 12 ancestral sorcerers. Each of the 12 ancestral sorcerers is extremely powerful. Kong Qiu said. It is said that the 12 ancestral sorcerers fell in the war with the demon tribe in the Untainted Land. In fact, it did not really fall. They came here, to the space of the 9 heavens Shitty. Here, the 12 ancestral sorcerers know the 11 ancestral sorcerers and the 2 powerful demon emperors, Di Jun and Dong Wang Tai, appeared in the 9 heavens Shitty. They opened up 2 spaces, which are the ancestral land of the sorcerer tribe and the savage land. They are called the sorcerer world and the demon world. The Death Mountain used to be the entrance to the sorcerer world. If you can enter the sorcerer world and obtain the inheritance of the sorcerer tribe and the power of the sorcerer ancestor, then your strength will reach an unimaginable level. Of course, the entrance to the sorcerer world is not that easy to find. The Death Mountain is full of dangers. Even a true Venerable Realm expert would have a slim chance of survival if he enters. There is no restriction of the heavenly law in the ancient domain. There are even Saint Realm monsters in the Death Mountain. With your current strength, it's too dangerous for you to enter the sorcerer world. The entrance to the sorcerer's world? Not even 1 in 10,000 chance? Yang Hongwu did not know whether it was true or not. But if it was true, then the so-called ruins of the Sorcerer Palace was the legendary Sorcerer World. Once he found the Sorcerer World, it was equal to finding a huge treasure. The 12 ancestral sorcerers, no, the 11 ancestral sorcerers. Hutu, one of the 12 ancestral sorcerers, was reincarnated in the untainted land. He opened up the underworld, which gave the untainted land a place for reincarnation. Of course, all these were just legends. But now, Yang Hongwu had already believed many things. Those so-called legends, in fact, did exist. It was just that ordinary people had no way to get in touch with them. Senior, are you kidding me? In fact, this place was still the ancient realm. It was suppressed by the law. How could there be a sage? The probability of 1 in 10,000 was too low. Yang Hongwu did not believe that he was so weak. Do I look like I'm kidding? With your current strength, you may be invincible in the divine realm. But if you enter the Death Mountain, it will be different. The reason why the Death Mountain is called this name is because people who entered the Death Mountain have never come out. Since the Great War of the Sorcerer and Demon race, the Sorcerer and Demon race were both thrown into the space turbulence and turned into ashes. The entrance of the Sorcerer World and the Demon World became the Death Mountain and the Destruction Sea. The entrance of the Sorcerer World is the Death Mountain, and the entrance of the Demon World is in the Destruction Sea. These two places are the most terrifying places in the ancient realm. For tens of thousands of years, no one who entered these two places came out alive. The Death Mountain and the Destruction Sea? If the Death Mountain is here, where is the Destruction Sea? Yang Hongwu asked. He had to go into the Death Mountain to check it out. But if the Death Mountain was really as terrifying as he said, he really needed to think about it. Now that Yang Hongwu knew about the Destruction Sea, of course, he wanted to know more about it. The Destruction Sea and the Death Mountain are opposite each other. However, they are very far apart. At the junction of this continent and the other continent, there is an endless ocean full of dangers. Back then, the demon master Kumpung of the demon world used his great power to open up a space in the Destruction Sea. Dong Wang Tai used his supreme strength to break open the void and open up the demon world. Kong Chiu said, that's how the demon realm was born. However, the demon tribe and the sorcerer tribe are sworn enemies. Even in Jiutian Shidi, there's no exception. It's because of this deep hatred that the two tribes won't rest until one of them is dead. The Great War of Sorcerer and Demon happened again in Jiutian Shidi. Do the demon world and the sorcerer world really exist? What happened during the war that caused the sorcerer and demon race to disappear? Are they sealed in the sorcerer world and the demon world? Yang Hongwu asked. I don't know about this. Kong Chiu shook his head and said, when I came to Jiutian Shidi, the war between the sorcerer and demon race had already happened. No matter what, I'm still going to explore the Mountain of Death. Yang Hongwu said, I advise you not to go. Unless your cultivation has reached the peak of the exalted realm, you might be able to explore the outer regions. However, it's still not enough if you want to go deeper. Unless you're able to advance to the Saint Realm, you'll really die if you go there. Hearing Yang Hongwu's words, Kong Chiu was a little anxious. This reckless kid, is the Death Mountain so easy to enter? For so many years, no one who went deep into the Death Mountain came out. It was not because they found the entrance to the sorcerer world, but because they were really dead. The Soul Jade Tablet was broken, which meant that they were dead. Chapter 686. The dagger was revealed if this kid was going to the Death Mountain or the Ocean of Destruction. Then wouldn't he fail to achieve his goal? This was not what Kong Chiu wanted to see. Instead of going to those places to die, it would be better to let him possess his body. Of course, he wouldn't say that out loud. Even if it's only 1 in 10,000 chance of survival, it's still a chance. Yang Hongwu smiled and said confidently. Kong Chiu smiled bitterly and said, do you know what a 1 in 10,000 chance means? This is only the probability of finding the entrance to the sorcerer's realm. The probability of entering the sorcerer's realm is almost equivalent to death. Moreover, even if you find the entrance to the sorcerer's realm and enter it, the sorcerer's realm is still full of dangers. The dangers inside are no less than the Death Mountain. Senior, you don't have to persuade me. Since I've already made my decision, I'll definitely go. Senior, thank you very much. If you didn't give me the 9 pearl, I wouldn't have been able to break through so easily. Yang Hongwu said and prepared to leave. He knew that he wouldn't be able to get any more information from Kong Xiao. Think about it carefully. If you go to the Death Mountain, you'll definitely die. Even if I was at my peak, I wouldn't have the slightest confidence. Kong Xiao looked at Yang Hongwu and said. At this moment, Kong Xiao had already made up his mind. If this guy really wanted to leave, then he had to find a way to make him stay. Even if it was just a clone, he had to make him stay. As long as he could trap the clone, then his true body would definitely think of a way to protect the clone. Senior, you don't have to say that. Senior, there's no need to say more. Going to the Death Mountain is a must. A month later, I will face a battle of life and death. It's a very important battle. My opponent's strength is terrifying. If I haven't broken through to the Zunqi realm, I won't be a match for him. He's too strong, unimaginably strong. Moreover, this battle concerns the fate of the entire ancient domain and the entire 9 heavens and 10 earths. Therefore, I have no choice but to go to the Death Mountain. Concerns the fate of the 9 heavens and 10 earths? What's going on? Hearing this, Kong Xiao was a little surprised. He was just an early divine realm kid. How could his battle affect the fate of the entire 9 heavens and 10 earths? This was pure nonsense. It was impossible. In the 9 heavens and 10 earths, experts were as common as clouds. Who knew how many great emperors there were? If it was something that even the great emperors couldn't handle, how could he possibly stop it? What a joke. I won't lie to you, Senior. That's a devil, the remnant soul of a terrifying devil, Yang Hongwu said. The remnant soul of a devil. I've never heard of a devil with such terrifying strength to be able to threaten the entire 9 heavens and 10 earths with just a remnant soul. This is absolutely impossible. The 9 heavens and 10 earths are filled with capable people. Experts are as common as the clouds. A mere remnant soul of a devil is nothing to worry about. Kong Xiao's eyes narrowed and turned cold. He looked at Yang Hongwu and said, even if you want to lie, you should find a better excuse. Liar? No, that's not it. Yang Hongwu could see that this guy had already made up his mind to kill him. His true face was finally about to be revealed. Then tell me, which devil is it? Kong Xiao said, ever since Kong Xiao, came to this world, I've been through countless battles and encountered countless devils. I don't know all the devils in the 9 heavens and 10 earths, but I'm pretty close to the mark. I remember clearly those powerful devils that could threaten the fate of the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Those devils that could threaten the fate of the 9 heavens and 10 earths have long been killed. None of them exist. Yang Hongwu sneered in his heart. Devil? Actually, you're a devil yourself, a great devil. However, compared to the devil in the Earth Spirit Palace, you're still far from it. The devil in the Earth Spirit Palace was the real, terrifying existence. At his peak, his strength might even surpass that of a great emperor. Although Kong Xiao was strong, he was at most at the level of a great emperor. I wonder if Senior has heard of the soul-suppressing tablet? Yang Hongwu asked. Soul-suppressing tablet? Kong Xiao's expression changed drastically. The soul-suppressing tablet was famous. How could he not have heard of it? It was an existence that surpassed an emperor weapon. It could suppress all souls. Even a great emperor would be easily suppressed. You've seen the soul-suppressing tablet? The soul-suppressing steel was a powerful weapon, but no one dared to have any ideas about it. This was because even a great emperor would have to flee if they encountered the soul-suppressing steel. Anyone who had any ideas about the soul-suppressing steel would have their soul suppressed and devoured. Kong Xiao had once witnessed the power of the soul-suppressing tablet. Back then, several great emperors had teamed up in an attempt to subdue the soul-suppressing tablet. In the end, the soul-suppressing tablet only needed a single strike to suppress the great emperors. Only their physical bodies remained, while their souls were devoured by the soul-suppressing tablet. One could see how terrifying the soul-suppressing tablet was. Yang Hongwu nodded. Yes, I've seen it before. The soul-suppressing tablet suppressed a terrifying demon. A strand of the demon's consciousness escaped. Once that strand of consciousness grew stronger, it would definitely release its true body. At that time, the entire 9 heavens, 10 earths would be plunged into misery and suffering. It might even be completely destroyed. If that was the case, then it would be terrifying. However, Kong Qiu didn't believe it. This was probably a lie made up by this brat. This brat was extremely smart. He already knew his purpose long ago. He wanted to escape from his hands, so he made up such a lie. However, all of this was futile. Even if it was true, so what? He had enough of being sealed in this damn place. Whether 9 heavens, 10 earths could be saved or destroyed, what did it have to do with him? Destruction was destruction. He wasn't from 9 heavens, 10 earths in the first place. So, no matter what, I have to go to the Death Mountain. Even if I'm going to die, I have to try. Yang Hongwu said and began to leave. With a thought, he turned into a ray of light and headed outside. Hold on. Kong Qiu finally revealed his true face. His whole body was emitting a thick, demonic aura. The demonic aura condensed into a huge hand and grabbed at Yang Hongwu. You should stay. It's not good for you to leave after getting what's mine, Kong Qiu said. Senior, what do you mean by this? Yang Hongwu's face darkened. This fellow was really intending to make him stay behind. Damn it. Chapter 687. Demonic Saints. Yang Hongwu's expression changed. He finally couldn't help but look at him and ask, Senior, who exactly are you? Confucius would never do that. You're wrong. I'm Kong Qiu, said Kong Qiu. I'm the sage Kong you're talking about. Even if you're Kong Qiu, you're a Kong Qiu who has been possessed by the devil. Yang Hongwu said coldly, It's just a devil. Or rather, it's just a doppelganger of the devil Dao. Haha, not bad. You're not bad. None of the people from the great desolate 3 realms are weak. Unfortunately, you haven't grown up yet. If I give you another 1,000 years, I won't be able to do anything to you. However, you're still too weak now. Kong Qiu laughed, and his entire person changed. The originally refined scholar was suddenly surrounded by devil qi. After saying that, Kong Qiu moved. A huge hand condensed in the void and grabbed at Yang Hongwu's clone. The powerful pressure made Yang Hongwu unable to move. He had no power to resist at all. Kong Qiu's strength was too terrifying. Even if he was sealed, he was still very powerful. This big hand wanted to grab Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu's expression changed slightly. If he hadn't been sealed, he probably wouldn't have been able to escape this time. It was too terrifying. A great emperor, it was definitely the means of a great emperor. If it wasn't a great emperor, then it was at least a great sage realm. Ichi turning Sanqing, abandoned the doppelganger. Yang Hongwu roared. The spiritual cat clone self-detonated, abandoning this clone. With a beam of light, Yang Hongwu's doppelganger instantly exploded. The psychic cat doppelganger's strength had already reached the honorable realm. When it exploded at this time, the power was extremely terrifying. The entire surroundings were blown up. It was earth-shattering, and heaven and earth collapsed. A huge shockwave surged upward, shattering the towering ancient trees in the surroundings. The terrifying power seemed to form a huge heavenly pillar that shot straight into the clouds, as if it was going to enter the 9 heavens. Even the sky was about to be pierced through, creating a huge hole. Damn it, you want to leave? It won't be that easy. If I let you escape like this, where will I put my face? Kong Qiu snorted coldly as he clenched his hand, forming a terrifying suction force to grab onto Yang Hongwu's soul. That terrifying explosive force collided with the seal, but the seal wasn't damaged at all. The void hand trembled a little under the impact of this terrifying force, but very quickly, it dissipated and continued to grab onto Yang Hongwu, forming a strange force that was pulling on Yang Hongwu's soul. Yang Hongwu felt that his Yuan's spirit avatar was being pulled in by a powerful suction force. The suction force grew stronger and stronger, and his speed became slower and slower. This made Yang Hongwu's expression change drastically. If his primordial spirit avatar was caught, he would be in trouble. Self-destruct? Yang Hongwu hesitated. Once his Yuan's spirit avatar self-destructed, it would have a considerable impact on his true body. Just now, his Yuan spirit had withdrawn from the Psychic Cat avatar and allowed the Psychic Cat avatar to self-destruct. In truth, it was only the puppet avatar that had self-destructed. When the Yuan spirit avatar left and the Psychic Cat avatar self-destructed, it wouldn't cause any damage to his true body. At most, he would lose some of his energy. But the self-destruction of a Yuan spirit avatar was different. The Yuan spirit was one of the sources of a martial artist. If it exploded, it would inevitably cause great damage to the body. As Yang Hongwu hesitated, the giant hand had already reached out to grab him. So fast, Yang Hongwu's complexion sank. Dragon soars to the highest heavens. Battle spirit possession, and then dragon soars to the highest heavens. Battle spirit possession was naturally the true body. With the strength of the true body increasing, the strength of this Yuan spirit avatar would also become formidable. With an extremely fast speed, he dodged. "You think you can escape?" Kong Qiu coldly snorted. A black barrier appeared in the void, isolating Yang Hongwu's Yuan spirit avatar from his true body. However, Yang Hongwu couldn't let him do as he wished. Demon-slaying finger, go. Yang Hongwu's true body's eyes burst with light. He pointed a finger at the void. This was the demon-slaying finger. A giant golden finger seemed to pierce through the heavens and earth, stabbing towards the demon hand condensed by Kong Qiu's power. Pung. The power of the demon-killing finger was the nemesis of demons. Regardless of whether the current Kong Qiu was the real Kong Qiu or the real Kong Qiu, one thing was certain. This guy's current power wasn't the awe-inspiring righteousness, but a power that was completely opposite to it. If he was the real Kong Qiu, then his power would be overwhelming righteousness. Overwhelming righteousness was the purest power between heaven and earth. It was the power of righteousness, not demonic chi. If overwhelming righteousness met the demon-slaying finger, not only would it not weaken the power of the demon-slaying finger, but it would also increase the attack power of the demon-slaying finger. Of course, if the demon-slaying finger met a martial artist with overwhelming righteousness, its lethality would be greatly reduced. The golden finger collided with the giant black hand, erupting with an intense light. When the giant black hand met the golden light, it began to melt like snow meeting the sun. In the next moment, there was a huge explosion. The giant hand was blown to pieces, and the golden finger turned into a golden light, like a golden arrow. With a whoosh, it shot towards Kong Qiu. "Bastard! What kind of cultivation technique is this?" Kong Qiu was furious. He condensed the talisman, which was a huge Confucian character. However, this Confucian character was different from ordinary Confucian characters. It was black and had a strange evil power. Demon? This was the power of demons. There were two sides to everything. Confucius was a saint, but he also had an evil side. The person in front of him was probably Kong Qiu, the negative personality of Confucius. This negative personality was separated by Confucius. He did not expect it to become so strong, even stronger than the original body. In the end, it was sealed here by God-refining Great Emperor. Therefore, he knew everything that Confucius knew. However, it was the complete opposite of Saint Kong's true body when it was used by the demonic Saint Kong. It's as hateful as the one the guy used. How annoying. The black Confucian character was very domineering. The golden arrow of Yang Hongwu's demon-slaying finger was shattered, and the huge Confucian character changed. Sacrifice for a righteous cause. Kong Qiu chanted, and the black Confucian character changed. It turned into a powerful warrior, holding a long sword, full of killing intent. He swung the long sword, slashing towards Yang Hongwu. This was Confucius's ultimate technique. Those with ambition should sacrifice for a righteous cause. Chapter 6, 88. Nine Immortals Spirit Binding Formation. Yang Hongwu's face was very solemn. This guy was really serious. Yang Hongwu felt a terrifying threat coming from the warrior formed by the Ru. The long sword in his hand seemed to be able to destroy a person's mind and soul. "Master, let me do it." A voice rang out in Yang Hongwu's mind. This was the weapon spirit of the Immortal Pagoda. Yang Hongwu was overjoyed. The weapon spirit of the Immortal Pagoda had awakened. This meant that his fighting strength would increase greatly. This was all thanks to the 9 pearl of Demon Saint Kong Xiao. Without it, who knew how long it would take for the weapon spirit of the Immortal Pagoda to awaken? Yang Hongwu nodded. "You're the weapon spirit of the Immortal Pagoda?" "Yes, master." "How confident are you?" Yang Hongwu asked. 100%. The weapon spirit nodded. 100% confident. Yang Hongwu was shocked. He did not expect the weapon spirit of the Immortal Pagoda to be so confident. One had to know that the strength of Demon Saint Kong Xiao was extremely strong. At his peak, he was probably stronger than the real Saint Kong Xiao. It was just that he had been sealed here for so many years. Furthermore, most of his strength had been sealed. His strength was greatly weakened. Otherwise, he would have been finished long ago. The weapon spirit of the Immortal Pagoda turned into a ray of white light. A beautiful fairy appeared in front of him. In her right hand, there was a small pagoda. This small pagoda looked exactly the same as the 9 Heavens Mysterious Pagoda. 9 Immortals Spirit Binding Formation. She shouted, and 9 beams of white light shot out from the Immortal Pagoda. The 9 beams of white light transformed into 9 immortals, who formed a huge formation. This formation had a mysterious power and seemed to interweave into a huge heavenly net. This heavenly net enveloped Devil Saint Kong Xiao, and it kept shrinking, trapping him and the other immortal warrior. As the heavenly net shrunk, it absorbed the power of the warrior. Demon Saint Kong Xiao and the warrior attacked the heavenly net madly. However, they did not have the slightest bit of strength to break it. Yang Hongwu was shocked. He didn't expect the Immortal Tower's artifact spirit to be so powerful after awakening. What kind of power did this net contain? Even the great devil sage Kong Xiao was trapped, seemingly unable to resist at all. He was too powerful. "Bastard, how is it possible for you to unleash the power of the 9th Heaven Mysterious Tower with your strength?" Devil Saint Kong Xiao was extremely unwilling to accept this. He had lost a great deal of his strength and had expended a great deal of energy to transmit a portion of his strength out. Although it was only a portion, his true body that was sealed within the Grand Formation had expended 100 times more energy. Therefore, although this doppelganger only had the power of a venerable, in fact, the power consumed by his original body had far exceeded this level. Every time he launched an attack, it would consume a lot of power. The power consumed was almost equivalent to the full power attack of a great sage. Within the seal, his original body could only absorb a very small amount of energy. Every time he launched an attack, he would need at least 100 years to recover. A single attack had consumed 100 years of accumulated strength. He had only attacked Yang Hongwu a few times, but he had already consumed 1,000 years of accumulated strength. If he couldn't take down this guy, then the consumption would be too great. Not only would he lose 2 9 pearls, but he would also consume a great amount of energy. That was the energy that he had accumulated for thousands of years. How could he accept this? Demonic salvation. Demon Saint Kong Xiao roared. His entire person turned into a giant demon. His face was ferocious as he began to chant some ancient incantations. These ancient incantations reminded Yang Hongwu of the Buddhist sect's cultivation techniques. Salvation. The Buddhist sect also had a cultivation technique that could convert demons. However, the cultivation technique that the Demon Saint Kong Xiao was currently using was similar. However, the Buddhist sect converted evil people and devils into Buddhas, while the Demon Saint Kong Xiao converted ordinary cultivators into devils and made them his slaves. The difference between the two was huge. "You want to convert me?" A cold light flashed in Yang Hongwu's eyes. That was a dream. If his primordial spirit clone was demonized, it would definitely have a huge impact on his original body. If there was really no other way, his primordial spirit could only self-destruct. Yang Hongwu's original body moved again. This time, Yang Hongwu poured all his energy into the immortal pagoda to activate it. In addition to the awakening of the weapon spirit, he poured his energy into the immortal pagoda and launched a powerful attack. Heaven Origin Strike. A terrifying attack appeared in Yang Hongwu's mind. This was a terrifying secret attack of the immortal pagoda. Its power was boundless. Yang Hongwu felt his energy pouring into the immortal pagoda at a terrifying speed. It was as if a dam had been opened. Boom! At the top of the immortal pagoda, a white beam of light shot out. This white beam of light seemed to be able to pierce through time and space and shatter the firmament of the universe. All the obstacles in front of him were shattered and penetrated. This light pillar extended towards the great demon Saint Kong Qiu at an extremely fast speed. The attack landed on Devil Sage Kong Qiu's body. Boom! With a crisp sound, Kong Qiu's body was instantly pierced through. In the next moment, his entire body exploded. That boundless power instantly swept through the entire area. Boom! Rumble. Loud noises kept coming out. In this space, those weak demonic creatures, those demonized wyverns, and so on all died under the impact of this terrifying power. In this narrow space, some of the powerful savage beasts and ferocious beasts were unable to withstand this terrifying power. Even Yang Hongwu himself, who was under the protection of the immortal pagoda, suffered a huge backlash. His body swayed, and he spat out blood. Devil Saint Kong Qiu's original body in the seal trembled and spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes turned red, and he was extremely furious. He was the great demon saint, Kong Qiu. His strength was boundless, and he was much more powerful than Saint Kong himself. Now, he was actually injured by a little kid who had not even reached the venerable realm. Aggrieved, it was really too aggrieved. In the depths of the chaos, a white-bearded old man opened his eyes on a floating immortal mountain outside the 9 majors and 10 lands. The person I've been waiting for has finally appeared. I hope you won't make me wait too long. The white-bearded old man didn't have any aura on him, as if he didn't exist. However, his eyes were extremely deep, like a boundless black hole with no end in sight. This old man was none other than the real Confucius saint, Confucius. Chapter 689. Immortal Pagoda's Weapon Spirit. How dare you injure me? You deserve to die. At this moment, Demon Saint Kong Qiu was like a furious lion that had been injured. Oof. You're just a trace of demonic consciousness. How dare you be so arrogant? The weapon spirit of the immortal pagoda snorted, not taking him seriously at all. If not for the formation seal, I could have killed you easily. What a sharp-tongued little girl. If you were at your peak, I might have been wary of you. But right now, you've only just recovered a little. If not for the fact that I can't release my strength, you wouldn't have been able to escape from my hands. After the clone was destroyed, Demon Saint Kong Qiu looked at the weapon spirit of the immortal pagoda from within the seal and shouted out in anger. Let's go. Yang Hongwu heaved a sigh of relief. If not for the awakening of the immortal pagoda's weapon spirit, he would have been in trouble. Even though he had no problem protecting his original body with his strength, he would definitely not be able to protect his Yuan spirit clone. If his Yuan spirit clone was damaged, his strength would definitely decrease. After a month, the 5 extreme space would not have enough confidence to deal with Zetian. Master, this fella is just an arrow at the end of its flight. Should we let him go just like that? Furthermore, there's a huge spirit vein below. If we can get our hands on this spirit vein, my strength will be able to take another step forward. Master, you will also be able to increase your strength by quite a bit. You might even be able to reach the half-step honorable realm. The weapon spirit of the immortal pagoda said, do you have any way to break the seal? Let's take another step back. After breaking the seal, do you have any way to deal with him? Yang Hongwu asked. Yang Hongwu did not like to do things that he was not confident in. Especially at this critical moment, he could not afford to be careless. If any accident were to happen, it would be troublesome. Master, this seal, perhaps Master Seal breaking pill could break it. The weapon spirit of the immortal pagoda said, "What about after breaking it? This fella's clone is already so powerful after breaking through the seal. How terrifying would his real body be? Even though my seal breaking pill can break through the seal, I don't have absolute confidence in dealing with this fella." Yang Hongwu shook his head and sighed. Although Yang Hongwu wanted this spiritual vein very much, once he got it, not only could he fully recover Sherbauer, but he could also upgrade the immortal pagoda and improve his cultivation. However, he wasn't 100% sure that he would succeed. In fact, he didn't even have a 50% chance of success. Who knew if this demon Saint Kong Xiu was a great emperor or not? If it were a great emperor, breaking the seal would be tantamount to courting death. Although the immortal pagoda was powerful, the owner of the immortal pagoda wasn't strong enough. He couldn't unleash the full power of the immortal pagoda. He estimated that he couldn't even unleash 10% of its power. Thus, he couldn't deal with Devil Saint Kong Xiu, a great emperor-level expert. Even if his cultivation base was greatly damaged and he was seriously injured, was not someone to be trifled with. At the great emperor level, even if he only had 10% of his cultivation base left, he could still easily crush a great saint. And if he unleashed his full strength, coupled with the demon exterminating finger and the power of the immortal pagoda, he could only deal with a venerable realm devil at most. He was far from being a match for a saint. "There's a way," the immortal pagoda's spirit said. "What is it?" Yang Hongwu asked with joy. "Put the entire Earth Demon Mountain into the immortal pagoda space. However, this way, Master won't be able to use the immortal pagoda. Before Master's strength reaches the saint realm, there's no way to activate the immortal pagoda." The immortal pagoda's spirit said crisply, "Put the entire Earth Demon Mountain into the immortal pagoda." When Yang Hongwu heard this, he was very surprised. The entire Earth Demon Mountain was in fact a huge seal, and the foundation of this seal was this huge spirit vein. In addition to the ancient and mysterious restrictions and seals, the Devil Saint Kong Xiu was sealed inside this place. As for the Earth Demon Emperor, it seemed to be just a little guy attached. Yes, the immortal pagoda space is very big, but Master's current strength is too weak. Coupled with the fact that the immortal pagoda is incomplete, although you can put the Earth Demon Mountain into the immortal pagoda space, it will consume a huge amount of energy to suppress the Earth Demon Mountain. That way, the immortal pagoda won't have any other power to help Master. In addition, the immortal pagoda will have to divide a part of its spiritual power. The immortal pagoda's spirit said in a very serious tone. Yang Hongwu understood that the immortal pagoda's spirit meant that he could put the Earth Demon Mountain into the immortal pagoda along with the spiritual vein. However, in this way, the immortal pagoda would only be able to suppress the Earth Demon Mountain and would not be able to use it. Not only that, Yang Hongwu would also need to divide a part of his spiritual power to help the immortal pagoda suppress the Earth Demon Mountain. When Yang Hongwu's strength reached the Saint Realm, he would be able to use the immortal pagoda again and display its true power to refine the entire Earth Demon Mountain. This is not good. Yang Hongwu shook his head and said, "The Earth Demon Mountain will not run away from here. When I have enough strength, I can come here again. It will be the same." Sealing the Earth Demon Mountain in the immortal pagoda was completely meaningless. His cultivation would not be able to increase, and he would have to divide a part of his spiritual power. The gains would not make up for the losses. In a month's time, he would go to the 5 extreme space and face Zetion. Zetion had the help of the old ancestor of the Z family. In addition, Zetion's strength was extremely terrifying. In this ancient domain, he had a special connection with his original body and was favored by the luck of the Devil Tao. His strength would increase at a terrifying rate. He would not be slower than Yang Hongwu, and might even be faster. If Yang Hongwu had to divide a part of his spiritual power to suppress the Earth Demon Mountain, it would be impossible for him to catch up with Zetion. Moreover, this Earth Demon Mountain was not his real goal. His real goal was the Ancestral Magi Palace and the Witch World. He had the Heaven Punishment Battle chart and that special map. When he entered the witch world and obtained the inheritance of the ancestral Magi Palace, his strength might increase tremendously. He might even be able to directly break through the God realm and enter the Venerable realm. Once he entered the Venerable realm, his strength would undergo an earth-shaking change. At that time, he would have the confidence to face Zetion. Master, I can continuously refine the power of the Earth Demon Mountain to increase my strength. When the Immortal Pagoda's artifact spirit heard Yang Hongwu's refusal, it became somewhat anxious. If it had not obtained the Earth Demon Mountain, it would not be easy for it to recover to its peak. It did not know how long it would take. Chapter 690. The calamity of the past, it's too risky. Yang Hongwu refused. This was too risky. In this critical situation, Yang Hongwu would not agree without absolute certainty. If something happened, it would be too bad. Master, I'm really confident. No need to say more. Yang Hongwu waved his hand and refused. The Immortal Tower's artifact spirit was also helpless. Although it wanted to take the entire Earth Demon Mountain into the Immortal Tower, Yang Hongwu's refusal made it helpless. After all, Yang Hongwu was now the owner of the Immortal Tower and had gained the approval of the Immortal Tower. Although it was an artifact spirit, it could only obey. If it had awakened before Yang Hongwu recognized it as its owner, it would definitely not be like this. However, it also knew that if it wasn't for its master, Yang Hongwu, it didn't know when it would be able to wake up. After Yang Hongwu finished speaking, he flew up and flew out of the cave. You little bastard, do you really want to die in the Death Mountain? Great Devil Saint Kong Chio shouted. If you want to enter the witch world, how about we make a deal? Great Devil Saint Kong Chio's words made Yang Hongwu stop. Although Yang Hongwu knew that this guy was definitely up to no good and would definitely not help him, he still couldn't help but stop when he heard his words. It was naturally good to be able to get some information. What do you mean? Cooperation? Do you have a way to send me into the witch world? Yang Hongwu asked. If he could really send him into the witch world, it would not be impossible for them to cooperate. Of course, he had to be careful if he cooperated with him. This guy was very cunning and would always plot against him, trying to take over his body. You have the Celestial Pagoda, and the Implement Spirit has awakened. However, even with the help of the Celestial Pagoda, it is still very difficult for you to find the entrance to the Sorcerer World and enter the Sorcerer World. It can be said that the probability of success is less than 1%. There is an 80 to 90% chance that you will die in the Death Mountain. However, if you let me out and cooperate with me, I can guarantee that I will bring you into the Sorcerer World, said Kong Chio. If I let you out, you'll bring me into the witch world? Yang Hongwu squinted his eyes and said, The Mountain of Death is full of dangers. There's only a slim chance of survival, and there might even be no chance of survival. How can you bring me safely into the Sorcerer World? Also, how can I believe you? Just now, you wanted to possess me and kill me. How can I believe your words? Yang Hongwu himself was not an idiot. This was called empty talk without any evidence. If he believed it so easily, then he would really be a fool. Of course I can bring you into the witch world. Kong Chio said, Although I am not from the sorcerer tribe, I have a deep understanding of the witch world. I have entered the witch world in the past. As he spoke, Devil Saint Kong Chio tossed out an item. This item easily pierced through the seals, sealing Devil Saint Kong Chio, as though it wasn't affected in the slightest. It was a lid. This lid was very familiar to Yang Hongwu. This is the lid of my heavenly sorcerer jar. At this moment, Chi-Yu's voice rang in Yang Hongwu's ears. This lid was the lid of the heavenly sorcerer jar, a treasure of the ancestral sorcerer palace. It was a set with the heavenly sorcerer jar. Back then, the heavenly sorcerer jar was a very powerful sorcerer treasure. Its power was not below that of the sky punishment axe, and even comparable to the monster slaying sword. When the sorcerer tribe was still alive, the sorcerer tribe and the demon tribe both refined supreme treasures. One of them was the Wu-killing sword, which was refined by the demon tribe. It was specially made to deal with the sorcerer tribe. It could break the supreme sorcerer body of the sorcerer tribe. It should be known that the sorcerer tribe's body was very strong. Although they did not cultivate their primordial spirit, their bodies were very strong. The other treasure was the monster-slaying sword, which was refined by the sorcerer tribe. As the name suggested, the monster-slaying sword was also refined to deal with the demon tribe. The monster-slaying sword was much more lethal to the demon tribe than to ordinary people. Although the Wu-slaying sword and the monster-slaying sword were specially made to deal with the two races, it did not mean that they were ineffective against other warriors and humans. Their lethality against human warriors and other creatures was also very terrifying. This is something I got from the sorcerer world. It's a sorcerer treasure. Although it's only a part of it, if you can find the other part, it'll be a powerful treasure. It's a pity that it's just a defective item. Demon Saint Kong, Chiyo, shook his head and sighed. This sorcerer treasure could ignore the prohibition spell. If he got a complete sorcerer treasure, he would not be sealed here by the prohibition spell. Yang Hongwu looked at the lid in his hand and was surprised. He did not expect to get the other part of the heavenly sorcerer pot. This meant that he had the complete heavenly sorcerer pot. The complete heavenly sorcerer pot was very powerful. It could summon countless wizard insects to fight for him without any restrictions. As long as Yang Hongwu's spiritual power was strong enough, he could summon wizard insects without any restrictions. In this way, he would have a terrifying advantage in a battle, especially in a large-scale battle. This was a truly terrifying weapon, a weapon that could kill enemies. In the past, Chiyu relied on this sorcerer treasure and his Chiyu saber, which was called the Tiger Soul Saber. With the heavenly sorcerer pot and the Tiger Soul Saber, he was invincible. Even the Yellow Emperor Xinyuan almost died in his hands. This showed how terrifying the heavenly sorcerer pot and the Tiger Soul Saber were. Chiyu, is the lid of the heavenly sorcerer pot really in the sorcerer world? Yang Hongwu asked. Yang Hongwu did not hear about the sorcerer world from Chiyu. Now that Chiyu had taken the initiative to appear, Yang Hongwu asked him. Yang Hongwu and Chiyu were actually in a business relationship. They were not master and slave. Therefore, if Chiyu is unwilling to tell him, Yang Hongwu would not ask. Yes, Chiyu said, back then, our 12 ancestors of sorcery came to this plane and built the sorcerer world. It was unprecedentedly powerful. Not only did we recover our cultivation, but we also recovered the prestige and prosperity we had in the untainted 3 realms. Our sorcerer world was unprecedentedly powerful. Even the demon tribe avoided us. However, something big happened later, which put the entire sorcerer world in danger. It was because of this crisis that the demon tribe started a war. Our sorcerer world and the demon realm suffered heavy losses in that war. The sorcerer world and the demon realm were sealed because of this. I don't know what the sorcerer world is like now. Chiyu's voice was full of worry. What happened back then? Yang Hongwu asked curiously. Chapter 691. The entrance to the witch realm. I won't talk about what happened back then. You'll know in the future. Chiyu didn't seem to want to talk about it. Yang Hongwu couldn't do anything about it. If Chiyu didn't want to talk about it, he couldn't ask anymore. Then tell me, can this guy's words be trusted? Yang Hongwu asked. I don't know. When I left the witch realm, I suffered a huge blow. My cultivation plummeted, and I was sealed in the heavenly witch jar. I barely managed to survive and ended up in this state. As for the rest, I don't know anything. Chiyu smiled bitterly. Back then, he was a genius who led countless people. He didn't expect that he would end up like this after being defeated. This was also a part of the past that he couldn't bear to look back on. Then do you know how to enter the witch realm? Yang Hongwu asked. I don't know. My memory isn't complete. The entrance to the witch realm is indeed in the Death Mountain, but I don't know the exact location and how to enter. Chiyu shook his head and said, Moreover, when we left the witch realm, the entrance to the witch realm was also moved for the sake of the witch realm's safety. The entrance to the witch realm is always moving. As for the exact location, it's hard for anyone to know unless it's the witch ancestor. The entrance to the witch realm was actually moving. This news shocked Yang Hongwu. Does that mean the entrance to the demon realm is also moving? Yang Hongwu asked. Since the entrance to the witch realm was moving, then the entrance to the demon realm must be moving too. Yes, the entrance to the demon realm is the same as the witch realm. It's just that I don't know what happened later. My memory isn't complete, and my cultivation is far from what it used to be. So, I want to find the witch realm through you, find the witch ancestor's palace, and get my memory back and my cultivation back. Chi said. Chiyu's true strength was probably far beyond the heaven witch realm. He might even be a great witch. However, all of this was unknown. For Yang Hongwu, this world was getting more and more interesting. He had been in this world for so many years, but he had only uncovered the tip of the iceberg. If he wanted to unveil the veil of this world and see the true face of this world, it seemed to be very far away. He did not know how long it would take. Demon Saint Kong Xiao, you know a lot of things, but how can you make me believe that you really know the entrance to the witch world and can really bring me in? As far as I know, the entrance to the sorcerer's realm is mobile and constantly changing. What ability do you have to allow me to enter the sorcerer's realm safely? Yang Hongwu said calmly. After obtaining some information from Chiyu, Yang Hongwu was no longer as clueless as before about the entrance to the sorcerer realm. Therefore, Yang Hongwu was even more confident when he spoke. You actually know that the entrance to the witch world is moving. Kong Xiao was a little surprised. He looked at Yang Hongwu and said, "It seems like you know a lot of things." That's right, the entrance to the witch world is indeed moving and constantly changing. However, I have something that can freely travel between the witch world and the ancient domain. What is it? If you really have such a treasure, why would you be sealed here? Wouldn't you use that treasure to leave this place? Yang Hongwu was not so easily fooled. If he really had such a powerful spatial treasure, wouldn't he use it to leave the seal? One must know that a treasure that could easily travel between different planes was very powerful. The witch world had its own unique seal and its own laws. Just like the demon world, it was not easy to travel between these planes. Ordinary treasures absolutely could not do it. Even some spatial emperor weapons could not do it. Therefore, Yang Hongwu was very suspicious of Kong Xiao's words. In order to attract him and make him let him out, this guy had resorted to all sorts of methods. He had said everything he could think of. Of course, if he really had such a thing, it would save him a lot of trouble to enter the witch world. After all, the Death Mountain was notorious. It was very risky to enter the Death Mountain. Even if Yang Hongwu had various life-saving methods, he might not be 100% safe. Yang Hongwu did not even have 70% confidence. You're too naive. If it's so easy to leave this seal, I would have left long ago. Why would I still stay here? Kong Xiao said, moreover, the thing that can freely enter and exit the witch world is just a token of the witch world. It can only communicate with the laws of the witch world. It can't take me out of here. Even so, why should I let you out? How do I know that you won't go back on your words after I let you out and deal with me? Yang Hongwu said coldly, you're much stronger than me. I don't have the confidence to deal with you. Although Yang Hongwu's talent was outstanding and his combat strength was shocking, compared to Kong Xiao, the difference in strength was too big. Even if his cultivation method could suppress Kong Xiao and weaken his combat strength, the difference in strength was too big. He was still not Kong Xiao's opponent. Therefore, Yang Hongwu would not easily take the risk and put himself in danger. You don't believe me? I can understand. One must always be on guard against others. Even the people closest to one can turn against one another because of some benefits or powerful treasures. I admire this very much. If it wasn't for my carelessness back then, I wouldn't have fallen to this state today. Kong Xiao said, if you agree to cooperate with me and let me out, I can make a Heaven Dao blood oath. Then, you won't have to worry. Oath? I don't believe you. Yang Hongwu said indifferently. If you want me to believe you, it's not impossible. Unless you hand over a trace of your soul imprint. You. Kong Xiao's face darkened. Don't be so shameless. You want me to be your slave? Who do you think you are? Are you one of the three clear sages, Dao, Ancestor Hongjun, or the great god Pangu? Who do you think you are? I've already given you so much face, and you want me to be your slave? You're too much. Kong Xiao was infuriated. This bastard actually wants me to hand over my soul imprint. What kind of joke is this? If I hand over my soul imprint, I will be controlled by him. Wouldn't that be the same as becoming his slave? That's absolutely impossible. I'm a great Confucius sage. How can I be controlled by a weak human? If you don't agree, then forget it. I have my own way to enter the witch world. You don't have to worry. Yang Hongwu said and was about to fly out, increasing his speed. Chapter 692. Devil Saint Scheme, you really agree? Yang Hongwu turned around and looked at Devil Saint Kong Xiao. Do you know that once you hand over a trace of your soul mark, your life and death will be in my hands? You'll become my slave. If I want you to live, you'll live. If I want you to die, you'll die. You won't be able to resist. I can hand over my soul mark, but you have to swear a heavenly Tao blood oath. If I don't threaten you, you can't use my soul mark to threaten me. Also, when you enter the witch world, you have to set me free. Devil Saint Kong Xiao said coldly. This is beneficial to both of us. I want to leave this place, and you want to enter the witch world. We'll both benefit from each other. All right, hand over your soul mark first, then I'll open the seal. Yang Hongwu said, swear a heavenly Tao blood oath first. Devil Saint Kong Xiao said, all right. Yang Hongwu nodded and swore a heavenly Tao blood oath. After he swore the oath, Yang Hongwu felt an additional mark in the depths of his soul. That was the mark of the heavenly Tao blood oath. If he violated it, this mark would directly destroy his soul, causing him to die without a burial place. The heavenly Tao blood oath was extremely powerful. Unless one's strength surpassed the heavenly Tao and broke the shackles of the heavens and earth, reaching the realm of transcendence, the heavenly Tao blood oath would backfire on the person who violated it. In this world, even the strongest martial monarch, the god refinement martial monarch, had yet to reach that level. Therefore, after seeing Yang Hongwu swore the heavenly Tao blood oath, Devil Saint Kong Xiao was no longer worried. Hand over your soul mark now, and I'll let you out, Yang Hongwu said. In fact, Yang Hongwu didn't have absolute confidence in breaking the seal. However, it seemed like breaking the seal could be done with a seal-breaking pill. If one pill wasn't enough, then 10 pills. If 10 pills weren't enough, then 100 pills. Yang Hongwu's alchemy level was also improving. Now that his strength had reached the god realm, his alchemy skills had also improved. Originally, Yang Hongwu's cultivation was only at the Tao pedestal realm. Now that he had reached the god realm, he was only one step away from becoming an 8th grade alchemist. Although there was only a fine line between an 8th grade alchemist and a 7th grade alchemist, it was not easy to become an 8th grade alchemist. Even if Yang Hongwu practiced the nature elixir scripture, it was still not easy. However, the pill scripture of good fortune was an alchemy technique that seized the fortune of heaven and earth. Although Yang Hongwu could not really become an 8th grade alchemist, he could use the alchemy technique of the pill scripture of good fortune to refine an 8th grade alchemist. Even if he could not refine an 8th grade alchemist, he could still refine an 8th grade elixir. The effect of the refined elixir would definitely not be worse than the effect of an ordinary 8th grade elixir. Even the elixir refined by Yang Hongwu was much more effective than the elixir refined by some ordinary 8th grade alchemist. Now, the restriction-breaking elixir refined by Yang Hongwu was definitely comparable to an 8th grade elixir. The seal in front of him had gone through countless years. Coupled with the impact of the Devil Saint Kong Xiao, it was much weaker than before. Therefore, Yang Hongwu was confident that he could use the restriction-breaking elixir to break the seal. The Devil Saint Kong Xiao hesitated for a long time. Finally, he separated a soul imprint. With a strong Dharma power, he penetrated the seal and sent it out. Just sending out such a soul imprint made him consume a lot of energy. His face was pale. The seal was very powerful. The soul imprint that was sent out caused great damage to the Devil Saint Kong Xiao. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was seriously injured. In order to be free, he had already given up his soul imprint. Why would he care about such a trivial injury? Once he got out, he would be free. It would not be difficult for him to recover his strength. If he continued to be sealed here, he did not know when he would have the chance. Moreover, the great calamity was coming. He could sense it. After all, as the Devil Tao avatar of Confucius, if he could not even sense it, he would be too weak. In fact, there was a gap between the Devil Saint Kong Xiao and the real Saint Kong. However, in terms of sensing the calamity, there was not much difference. In fact, he did not know that all of this was done by the real Saint Kong. After Yang Hongwu received the soul imprint of the devil Saint Kong Chiu, he controlled it. This soul imprint could control the life and death of the devil saint. As long as Yang Hongwu was willing, he could easily shatter the devil Saint Kong Chiu's soul. A cold light flashed in Yang Hongwu's eyes. When the soul imprint entered Yang Hongwu's sea of consciousness and was refined by Yang Hongwu was furious. There was a restriction in the soul imprint. This restriction was very hidden. If Yang Hongwu did not cultivate the Soul Refining Heart Sutra and the Yin-Yang Soul Law Curse of the 9 Transformation Yin-Yang Harmony Art, it would be difficult for him to discover this restriction. If this restriction were to explode at a critical moment, the devil Saint Kong Chiu could detonate the soul imprint. Of course, even if it did not detonate, it could also reverse control Yang Hongwu at a critical moment. This clearly showed that he wanted to possess Yang Hongwu and refine him. As long as this guy lurked for a period of time, his soul imprint would continue to absorb energy and grow. He could even control Yang Hongwu without anyone noticing. Insidious, cunning. Yang Hongwu did not get angry, but laughed instead. He looked at the devil Saint Kong Chiu and said coldly, "Saint Kong, I'm afraid it's not appropriate for you to do this." "Yang Hongwu, what are you talking about? Since we've reached a deal and you've controlled my soul imprint, we're now in the same boat. Why don't you open the seal and let me out? You should know that we don't have much time left. If you want to enter the witch world, you must let me out within 3 days. Otherwise, if you want to enter the witch world after 3 days, you'll have to wait for a month. I don't think you have that much time, do you?" The devil Saint Kong Chiu was shocked. Could it be that this kid had discovered the restriction on his soul imprint? If that was the case, wouldn't things be bad? If it was really discovered, then all his plans would be for naught. The devil Saint Kong Chiu's heart was as gloomy as water. However, he kept urging Yang Hongwu to open the seal and let him out. "You didn't keep your promise and still want me to let you out? You're dreaming, aren't you?" Yang Hongwu said coldly. "Do you think I'm a fool? Do you think your plan is flawless and I won't discover it?" Chapter 693. Supreme Pill Concoction Technique. "You're the one who broke our agreement first." Yang Hongwu said coldly. "Don't forget that I have the seal-breaking pill. I can break your seal. Although the seal you left behind is extremely well hidden, it still can't escape my eyes. You seem to have forgotten that I've cultivated the soul, refining heart scripture, in a powerful secret technique that you can't imagine. It's a secret technique that surpasses the Emperor technique. Nothing can escape my eyes in my divine palace. Therefore, your scheme is futile. You can't scheme against me under my nose. This is the biggest mistake you've made. You've discovered it? How is this possible? My secret technique, my seal, I've used up 70% of my strength. How could you discover it just for this seal?" Devil Saint Kong Chiu couldn't believe it. He looked at Yang Hongwu and screamed, "Nothing is impossible. My origin and the things I've cultivated are beyond your imagination." Yang Hongwu said, "Kneel down now and swear the heavenly Tao blood oath. Submit to me and become my slave. Then I can spare your life." "Huh? Yang Hongwu. So what if you know about it? My seal isn't that easy to break. If you try to break it by force, the seal in my soul imprint will explode. Once the seal of my 7th level of strength explodes, it's enough to destroy your entire divine dwelling and sea of consciousness. Once your sea of consciousness is destroyed, you'll become a fool without any soul consciousness. At that time, I'll be able to take over your body." Devil Saint Kong Chiu said, "Take over my body?" Yang Hongwu snorted. "You're dreaming. If you really self-destruct the seal in your soul, you'll die too. Moreover, my sea of consciousness is so huge. Even if you self-destruct, you won't be able to destroy it completely. At most, you'll only injure me. I still have a supreme trump card that you don't know. Now that I've refined your soul, I can control your life and death. If you truly submit to me, I can spare your life." Finished speaking, Yang Hongwu activated the soul refining heart scripture and the yin-yang soul locking curse. He began to refine Devil St. Kong Chio's soul seal. When Yang Hongwu activated the Spirit-Refining Heart Sutra and the Yin-Yang Soul Lock Curse, Devil St. Kong Chio felt as if his soul was about to explode. He could turn into ashes at any moment. That boundless pain was born from his soul, making him wish he was dead. He hugged his head and rolled around continuously. It was too painful. Even saints and emperors couldn't withstand this kind of pain. It came from the depths of their soul. What was the soul? It was the true foundation of a living being. Without the soul, there would be nothing left. Moreover, the pain of the soul was much stronger than the pain of the physical body. It could be said that the pain was magnified thousands of times. There weren't many people who could truly withstand the intense pain of the soul. Those who could withstand it were those supreme existences. Of course, there was also a special physique. Their souls were completely numb. Those people were extremely terrifying when they cultivated. Especially when they cultivated secret soul techniques, they were truly powerful. However, there were too few people with such a special physique. Even in the entire 9 heavens and 10 earths, there might not even be one born in tens of thousands of years. Even if there were, it would be useless if they couldn't obtain a suitable cultivation technique. Yang Hongwu, what are you doing? You really dare to attack me? Aren't you afraid of the blood oath of the heavenly Tao? If you go against the blood oath of the heavenly Tao, you'll also be destroyed by the heavenly Tao. You'll also have your soul destroyed. Devil St. Kong Chio screamed in pain. Indeed, I can't resist the blood oath of the heavenly Tao. But what about you? You've also broken the oath. Yang Hongwu snorted coldly. Let me try. Let's see if the heavenly Tao will destroy me if I kill you. Lunatic! You're a lunatic! Devil St. Kong Chio was angered to death. He had not expected Yang Hongwu to be such a lunatic. He really wasn't afraid of the blood oath of the heavenly Tao. Although he had planted a special seal in his soul imprint to deal with Yang Hongwu, it wasn't a breach of the blood oath of the heavenly Tao. However, this wasn't considered a violation of the oath. Moreover, he didn't make a blood oath. However, Yang Hongwu really dared to deal with him. He used his soul imprint to deal with him. Despicable, truly despicable. Stop. Stop right now. Otherwise, I'll detonate the seal and we'll die together. Devil St. Kong Chio screamed. Humph. Yang Hongwu snorted coldly. He could indeed feel the threat of the blood oath of the heavenly Tao. An oath couldn't be broken. Yang Hongwu didn't dare to take the risk. However, this seal was planted in Devil St. Kong Chio's soul imprint. Removing it wasn't an easy task. Fortunately, there was a supreme secret technique in the fortune pill scripture that he cultivated. Even if it was in the depths of his soul, he could still refine pills. However, the success rate of refining pills like this was much lower. Moreover, the danger was also much higher. Once he failed, it could cause his sea of consciousness to shake. But now, in order to eliminate the hidden danger, Yang Hongwu had no choice but to do so. The seal planted in the depths of the soul imprint could only be used by refining the seal-breaking pill in the sea of consciousness. This was something that couldn't be helped. With a thought, Yang Hongwu took some spiritual herb from the space of the immortal pagoda into his sea of consciousness. Yang Hongwu's primordial spirit appeared in his sea of consciousness. Raising his right hand, the spiritual herbs turned into liquid and intertwined with each other. Yang Hongwu began to refine pills. This was the supreme technique of the fortune pill scripture, the soul refining method. The power of the soul gave birth to the soul fire. This soul fire refined the spiritual herbs into liquid and began to burn away the impurities. The flame of soul was a purple flame. This purple flame looked weak and small, as if it could be extinguished at any time. However, when it burned, the elixirs suddenly turned into a medicinal liquid, and the impurities were quickly expelled little by little. Through the seal, Devil St. Kong Chio saw Yang Hongwu's pill refining method and was shocked to the extreme. You can actually use your own primordial spirit and soul fire to refine pills in your sea of consciousness. You have obtained the inheritance of old Lord Taishang? You have obtained his pill, refining technique? Devil St. Kong Chio's eyes were wide open. He had not expected that this guy would have obtained such a miraculous pill, refining technique. Seemed like those seal-breaking pills were not obtained by him at all. He must have refined them himself. B** starred. He was a total B** starred. If he had known earlier, he would have captured him at all costs. He would have extracted his soul and stolen his memories. Even if he didn't possess his body, he would have done it. Chapter 694. Alchemy Saint. What's so strange about it? I'm only one step away from becoming an 8th grade alchemist. Plus, I've obtained a supreme alchemy method. Using my soul flame to refine pills is a piece of cake. Yang Hongwu's tone was light and indifferent, as if this was a trivial matter. 8th grade alchemist. Demon St. Kong Chio took a deep breath. This guy is so young. He's probably not even 30 years old yet, but he's already about to break through and become an 8th grade alchemist. Such talent is just too shocking. Although he claimed to be a genius, a super genius, he's still lacking compared to Yang Hongwu. After a dozen breaths, Yang Hongwu began to condense the pills. At the last step, a 7-colored light fell, and a few restriction pills were refined. Perfect quality. Those mysterious pill patterns showed that these pills were perfect quality. Although they're not 8th grade pills, they're definitely not inferior to some 8th grade pills. If he took them out, people would definitely fight for them. Watch how I break your restriction. I'll take care of you after I break your restriction, Yang Hongwu said coldly. A restriction-breaking pill was held in his hand. A mysterious hand seal was formed, and the restriction-breaking pill was shot out. It turned into a 7-colored light and fell on the restriction. In an instant, the restriction was dissolved. Demon St. Kong Chio's body trembled. He couldn't believe that his restriction was broken so easily. After breaking the restriction, Yang Hongwu had nothing to worry about. With a thought, he took control of Demon St. Kong Chio's soul mark. The great pain made Demon St. Kong Chio cry out in pain. Yang Hongwu, you bastard. Stop it. Don't you want to go to the witch world? Demon St. Kong Chio didn't have any more trump cards after the restriction was broken. This was something he didn't expect. Of course I'm going to the witch world. This is just a lesson for you. Yang Hongwu snorted. He didn't expect things to go so smoothly. This Demon St. Kong Chio was really cunning. Fortunately, Lin Fan's cultivation technique was special. Otherwise, he might have been tricked by this guy. Demon St. Kong's doppelganger was indeed extraordinary. Demon St. Kong Chio's eyes flashed with killing intent and hatred. He was really angry that he was tricked by a junior. However, Yang Hongwu didn't care about Demon St. Kong Chio's anger and hatred at all. This guy's Demon St. Kong Chio's thought Yang Hongwu Chio fan. However, Yang Hongwu was Chio fan. Yang Hongwu was Chio. After entering the witch world, his strength was not enough, so he would need to rely on this guy. However, this guy obviously would not help him easily. When the time came, he would want him to die in the witch world. Therefore, before entering the sorcerer's world, he had to plan carefully. Of course, after he opened the seal, even if Devil St. Kong Chio recovered his cultivation base, he wouldn't be able to do anything to him, and he would be able to absorb and refine this spirit vein. After refining this spirit vein, he could awaken the Sherbower and increase the strength of the Immortal Pagoda. In that case, he would have a lot more trump cards. Yang Hongwu had a faint premonition that the greatest secret of Earth Demon Mountain was not even Devil Sage Kong Chio. Beneath this spirit vein, there was another great secret. Although this was only a premonition, this feeling was getting stronger and stronger. Whether it was real or not, he would only know after he opened the seal. Can you open the seal now? Since he was under someone else's roof, he had no choice but to bow his head. At this moment, it was the true portrayal of Devil St. Kong Chio. Although he was extremely humiliated and extremely unwilling, there was nothing he could do. Who asked Yang Hongwu to grab hold of his weakness? He had to ask Yang Hongwu for help, so there was nothing he could do. For the sake of freedom, he had no choice but to submit. He regretted it very much. If he had attacked Yang Hongwu as quickly as he could, things might not have ended up like this. Of course, he had to admit that this kid's luck was extremely terrifying. Those who came from the same place as him all had amazing luck, and this kid was stronger than anyone he had ever met. Even before he was born, his original body's luck was far inferior to Chio's. Chio's luck was even worse than the three pure ones. He was probably on par with Dao, ancestor Hongjun. Therefore, even if he had attacked Yang Hongwu as quickly as he could, he might not have been able to successfully seize his memories and obtain the miraculous and powerful alchemy method. However, he was unwilling to cooperate with Chio now. However, he wasn't worried that he would die. As long as his original body didn't die, his demonic doppelganger with Saint Kong would never die. Devil Saint Kong Chio's goal had always been to devour his original body and become the real Saint Kong. At that time, once he devoured Saint Kong's original body, his strength would increase tremendously, and it wouldn't be impossible for him to surpass a great emperor. Once he reached that stage and devoured his true body, the first thing he would do would be to seek revenge from Emperor Refinement of the God Refinement Realm. That Emperor Refinement of the God Refinement Realm was extremely detestable to have sealed him here for so many years. This could be said to be the most humiliating thing that had ever happened to him since his birth. Of course, now there was one more thing, and that was being schemed against by Yang Hongwu, a level 3 Divine Realm expert. If this matter were to spread out, it would be too embarrassing. Therefore, killing Yang Hongwu was also one of his goals. However, compared to killing Yang Hongwu and Emperor Refined God Emperor, it was too insignificant. Even if Yang Hongwu was a genius with terrifying luck, luck was ethereal and unfathomable. Those with great luck would be blessed by the heavenly Tao or even the great Tao. It wouldn't be easy to kill them. However, once one's cultivation reached a certain level, he would be able to break through this shackle, and he wouldn't need to look at the heavenly Tao or even the great Tao. He knew how powerful his original body was. If he could devour his original body, he wouldn't need to worry about the heavenly Tao. Just a mere seal. I can break it easily. Yang Hongwu shot out restriction-breaking pills and array-breaking pills. The combination of restriction-breaking pills and array-breaking pills could easily break some profound array seals and restrictions. The formation-breaking pills and restriction-breaking pills flew out in a dense manner, as if it was raining. These pills formed a mysterious shadow. It was a saint, the Creation Pill Saint. The Creation Pill Saint was an expert who became a saint through alchemy. In the end, he cultivated to become a supreme, great emperor. The pills that he concocted contained his own spirituality and could transform into a human body to cultivate. This was an extremely high level of alchemy. The Creation Pill scripture was deduced by the Creation Pill Saint. Now, Yang Hongwu was using a supreme secret art from the Good Fortune Pill scripture. He was using the restriction-breaking pill and formation-breaking pill to break the formation. Thus, a phantom of the Good Fortune Pill Saint appeared, and it was extremely powerful. Chapter 695. The Birth of the Demon Saint. This is... Demon Saint Kongqiu was shocked. This was the projection of the Creation Pill Saint. He had only heard of the Creation Pill Saint, but had never seen him before. The Creation Pill Saint's alchemy skills had reached perfection. He was the only one who could compete with Taishang Laojun in terms of alchemy. He had always thought that the mysterious alchemy technique of the seal-breaking pill was the masterpiece of the Grand Supreme Elderly Lord. However, now that he saw the Fortune Pill Saint's projection, he finally understood that the mysterious alchemy technique of the seal-breaking pill wasn't the Grand Supreme Elderly Lord's alchemy technique, but originated from the Fortune Pill Saint. The Creation Pill Saint was different from Taishang Laojun. The Creation Pill Saint was a native of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, unlike Taishang Laojun, who came from the Void Continent. The 9 heavens and 10 earths was also filled with geniuses. In terms of alchemy, the most outstanding one was the Creation Pill Saint. As for the others, there were also many powerful existences. For example, the Refinement God Great Emperor was also a powerful genius. Although he was sealed by him, Demon Saint Kong Xiao had to admit that the refinement god Great Emperor was extremely terrifying. His strength and talent were both first-rate existences. I didn't expect you to have obtained the inheritance of the creation Pill Saint. Demon Saint Kong Xiao looked at Yang Hongwu and said, Creation Pill Saint. Yang Hongwu didn't know whose inheritance he had obtained. He only knew one thing, and that was that the alchemy method he cultivated was called the Good Fortune Pill Scripture. As for who created this pill scripture, he didn't know. Now that he heard Demon Saint Kong Xiao's words, this was the first time he had heard of the Good Fortune Pill Saint. However, there was one thing that Yang Hongwu admired very much. The person who created this supreme alchemy method was indeed incomparably powerful. A single pill could create the universe. If one cultivated it to the extreme, they would be a truly terrifying expert. Such a person was definitely an existence comparable to great god Pangu. Entering the Tao through alchemy, Yang Hongwu was extremely impressed. However, he had never thought of cultivating the Tao of alchemy. Entering the Tao through alchemy was not Yang Hongwu's style. Although the Tao of alchemy was not bad, it was not suitable for Yang Hongwu. Just like the Tao of alchemy, Yang Hongwu didn't just possess extremely high talent in the art of alchemy, he similarly possessed shocking talent in the Tao of talismans. The divine talisman technique that Yang Hongwu cultivated was also a supreme technique. If one could cultivate it to the extreme, one could also have endless good fortune. You don't know. Devil Saint Kong Xiao saw that Yang Hongwu didn't seem to be lying. He was somewhat astonished. This brat was truly lucky. After obtaining the inheritance of others, he didn't even know who it belonged to. This made Demon Saint Kong Xiao extremely jealous. After coming to this world, Kong Xiao, the sage of Confucius, did not receive any inheritance from any expert. He had always been fighting on his own to become powerful. If he could obtain the inheritance of some super powerhouses, such as the Creation Pill Saint or the Refinement God Great Emperor, then his cultivation would be much faster. Yang Hongwu shook his head and said faintly, Why should I know? If the Creation Pill Saint's alchemy technique is the Creation Pill Saint's cultivation technique, then he should be an incomparably powerful alchemy saint. However, my goal is not to enter the Tao through alchemy. The Tao of alchemy is only an auxiliary. You really don't know how lucky you are. Do you know how many powerhouses, saints, and even great emperors are interested in the Good Fortune Pill Saint's alchemy methods? They all wish to obtain his inheritance, but you actually don't place them in your eyes. If they were to find out about this, you would die without a grave. Do you know that? Yang Hongwu's attitude made Demon Saint Kong Xiao feel extremely displeased. Not to mention other things, just the fact that Yang Hongwu could refine the seal-breaking pill was already very terrifying. Countless people wanted to obtain it. Once it was exposed, countless experts would flock over. Moreover, not only venerables, sages, and even great emperors would make a move. That's not a Tao that belongs to me. If a person wants to become a true expert, to stand at the peak, to become a supreme and powerful existence, he needs to have his own Tao. He needs to create his own Tao. Yang Hongwu's tone was still as calm as ever. However, Demon Saint Kong Xiao could hear the incomparable confidence in his tone. He could hear the pride that belonged to Yang Hongwu. Demon Saint Kong Xiao snorted at this. This guy really didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. How difficult was it for a person to create their own Tao? Even his original body, Sage Kong Xiao, didn't create his own Tao. Of course, if he could create his own Tao, then he would truly become a supreme powerhouse. At the very least, he would be able to reach the level of Taishang Laojun. He might even reach the level of Tao ancestor Hongjun and great god Pangu. Just as the two of them were conversing, the phantom of the Creation Pill Saint had already broken the seal of the entire formation. As the formation disappeared, a huge amount of spiritual qi turned into a giant dragon and soared into the sky, rushing out. Demon Saint Kong Xiao turned into a tall figure. His entire body was surrounded by a terrifying aura. As he soared into the sky, it was as if the entire world was trembling because of him. Terrifying bolts of lightning appeared in the sky. The entire sky turned gloomy as if the world was afraid of him. I'm out. Demon Saint, am finally out. God Refinement Emperor, you have sealed me for so many years. This grudge, I will definitely have my revenge. As Demon Saint appeared, his terrifying aura shrouded the entire Earth Demon Mountain. It was as if the entire mountain was about to collapse. Be quiet. Yang Hongwu looked at the terrifying aura that appeared in the sky. That was the heavenly Tao's lightning tribulation. Demon Saint's strength had already far surpassed the ancient domain. His strength was originally at the Great Emperor realm. Although his strength was greatly reduced, it was still not something that the ancient domain could withstand. It was beyond the laws of the ancient domain. Therefore, the heavenly Tao had to send down a heavenly tribulation or even a heavenly punishment. Therefore, Yang Hongwu wanted to warn this arrogant guy. If this guy attracted a heavenly tribulation or even a heavenly punishment, it would be a huge blow to him. Although his strength was not bad and his body was strong, it was impossible for him to withstand a heavenly tribulation from such a terrifying expert. Moreover, he still needed this guy to help him enter the witch world. He might even be his bodyguard in the witch world to protect him. If this guy was sent to a higher level, to the heaven domain, then wouldn't his efforts be in vain? Yang Hongwu, do you really think you can control me? Demon Saint's eyes flashed with a cold light. This weak guy had released him and even dared to order him around. He really didn't know what death was. Chapter 696. Demon Saint tragic. Seeing Demon Saint Kong Xiu being so arrogant, Yang Hongwu's face sank. He coldly said, "Your soul mark is still with me. Do you want me to destroy your soul imprint? Destroy my soul mark? What a joke! This is simply a joke." Demon Saint Kong Xiu laughed. He looked at Yang Hongwu and said, "You released me, and my strength instantly recovered by 30%. Although it's only 30% of my strength, it's still far for what you can resist. You are still far from enough. My soul mark is indeed with you, but your strength is too weak. I can even use this soul mark to control you and make you my slave." At this moment, Demon Saint Kong Xiu was arrogant to the extreme. It was as if everything was under his control. He looked at Yang Hongwu as if he was looking at a clown. "You should honestly hand over the inheritance of the God Refinement Great Emperor and the Good Fortune Pill Saint to me. If you do, I can consider letting you go." Demon Saint Kong Xiu looked at Yang Hongwu and said, "You want the inheritance? Dream on." Yang Hongwu coldly snorted. With a thought, the God Refinement Heart Sutra and the Yin-Yang Soul Lock Curse were activated once more. The Yin-Yang Soul Lock Curse penetrated Demon Saint Kong Xiu's soul mark and directly attacked his soul. Damn it! Feeling a stabbing pain in his soul, Demon Saint Kong Xiu suddenly screamed. He was enraged. He stretched out his hand and condensed an endless amount of magic power, grabbing towards Yang Hongwu. Energy fluctuated and space trembled as if it was about to be torn apart. Humph! Yang Hongwu's eyes flashed with a cold light. He opened the Battle Spirit Possession and the Nine-Dragon Saint Body, causing his strength to explode. His powerful spiritual force erupted and the power of Yin and Yang revolved. The power of the Yin-Yang Soul Lock Curse increased once more. Demon Saint Kong Xiu's soul emitted an intense pain. It was 1,000 times more intense than before. It caused him to fall to the ground as if his soul was about to shatter. Damn it, how could this be? Kong Xiu couldn't believe that he had already recovered 30% of his strength. Although he was suppressed, his soul force didn't weaken at all. It was impossible for this young man's soul force to be that much stronger than his. With such a huge gap between them, how could he still use the soul imprint to suppress Kong Xiu's soul and cause him such intense pain? If this continued, his soul would really be destroyed by the underworld. Devil Saint, aren't you very strong and awesome? Why don't you try being awesome again? Yang Hongwu said coldly. He had just escaped, and yet he dared to be so arrogant and despotic. He even wanted to snatch his inheritance and kill him. He really didn't know what was good for him. Although he was powerful, he had the soul imprint under his control. If he wanted to deal with him, it would be a matter of minutes. Of course, Yang Hongwu also felt fortunate. If he hadn't cultivated the yin-yang soul lock spell, he might not have been able to suppress the soul imprint. After all, the difference in strength between the two of them was too great. Without the mind-refining heart sutra and the yin-yang soul lock spell, he might have been suppressed by the soul imprint. Thinking of this, Yang Hongwu felt a little scared. Of course, he was now relieved. The yin-yang soul lock spell that he cultivated was much stronger than he expected. Being able to control this guy meant that he had another powerful guard. This was much more convenient than Sherbauer. Of course, Sherbauer could be trusted. She reckoned that this fellow would be plotting against her all the time. If she couldn't control herself, this fellow would be like a ticking time bomb. Once he got the chance, he would turn on her. Therefore, although Sherbauer's combat strength might not be as strong as Kong Chio's, there was no need to worry. But the Devil Saint was different. Stop, please stop. I surrender, I surrender. Kong Chio didn't want to die, so he could only beg for mercy. Besides, that kind of pain was unbearable even for him. Humph! Yang Hongwu snorted and stopped the yin-yang soul lock spell. At this time, the Devil Saint got up from the ground. He was battered and exhausted. He no longer had the arrogant and domineering look that he had before. He was just like a stray dog. All right, now tell me about this Earth Demon Mountain. How did you end up being sealed here? Where's your real body now? Also, is there anything under the Earth Demon Mountain's spiritual vein? Yang Hongwu asked. This guy had been sealed here for so many years. It was impossible for him to know nothing about the Earth Demon Mountain. Yang Hongwu felt that there was something powerful under the spiritual vein. Or rather, it was a supreme treasure. If he could get it, his strength would probably improve. It was difficult for him to improve his strength. His previous improvement was all because of the Nine Pearl. Of course, if he could refine this spiritual vein, not to mention breaking through 2 levels, it was even possible for him to break through to the half-step honorable realm. However, Yang Hongwu didn't have that much time to refine this spiritual vein, nor did he have the strength to do so. Just how much spiritual qi was contained in a single spiritual vein? Just how terrifying was that pressure? A powerful spiritual vein would give birth to its own intelligence. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called a spiritual vein. With its own intelligence, how could it casually contribute its spiritual qi to others? That was equivalent to drinking its blood and eating its flesh. No intelligent creature would agree to it. There is a huge spiritual vein below the Earth Demon Mountain. That old bastard God Refinement Emperor moved this spiritual vein here to seal me. Demon Saint Kong Chio gritted his teeth as he spoke. Then what about your real body? Yang Hongwu knew that this guy wasn't telling the truth. However, Yang Hongwu didn't care. He would find out about the spiritual vein eventually. With this spiritual vein, the Immortal Pagoda's power would continue to recover. Sherbauer's power would also recover a lot. As for the secret below, he would find out once the spiritual vein was taken. Real body? What real body? I'm a real body. Kong Chio roared. You dare to lie? Yang Hongwu's eyes flashed. With a thought, the yin-yang soul lock curse was activated. I'll talk. Kong Chio begged for mercy. Chapter 697. Collecting the spirit vein demon, Saint Kong Chio's face turned gloomy. This was the thing that made him the most unhappy. Why was he a demonic spirit? Even though he did not want to admit it, he was just an evil spirit that had been separated from his original self. It was just a demonic spirit. However, this was the pain in his heart. He always thought that one day he would be able to devour his original self and become the real Saint Confucius. Although he was very unhappy with Yang Hongwu's words, there was nothing he could do about it. Although Yang Hongwu's strength wasn't that great, he didn't know what kind of mysterious treasure he had that could destroy his soul. Damn it. Main body, are you talking about that self-righteous hypocrite? Demon Saint said coldly, I don't know. Although we share the same origin, I can't feel his existence. It's fine if you don't want to talk about it. But can you at least tell me what's under the Earth Devil Mountain range? Don't tell me that you don't know. Don't think that I can't find out. Even if you don't tell me, I have my own ways to find out. Yang Hongwu said. Demon Saint wasn't willing to talk about the matter between him and Kong Chio's main body. This was within his expectations. As for the secrets that he wanted to hide under the spirit vein, Yang Hongyu wasn't going to be so easy to talk about. Xiao Chun had to obtain this spirit vein. He was destined to not be able to keep the secret below. However, from Demon Saint's expression, the things under the spirit vein were definitely not that simple. Otherwise, Demon Saint Kong Chio wouldn't have kept his secret. What do you think is under the spirit vein? I think you've gone crazy from wanting treasures. Demon Saint Kong Chio said, still trying to hide it? Do you really think that I'm a fool? Yang Hongyu said coldly, the things below are related to my physique. They have a special attraction to me. That's why I can feel it. At this moment, Yang Hongyu began to collect the spirit vein. Xianyu, collect the spirit vein. Yang Hongyu used his mind to communicate with the treasure spirit of the immortal tower. Xianyu is the name of the treasure spirit of the immortal tower. She had recovered a lot of her memories. If she could collect the spirit vein, her strength would recover even more. Of course, Yang Hongyu mainly wanted to help Bauer recover and wake her up. Once he entered the sorcerer world, Bauer's original form was a life gem. He had lived for countless years and was knowledgeable. He would be of great help to Yi Zaiwen. Of course, it was the same for the Immortal Pagoda. Therefore, the Immortal Pagoda had to be upgraded, the Bauer had to be upgraded, and more importantly, we had to be upgraded. The power of this spirit vein was probably not enough. After absorbing and refining this spirit vein, he wondered how much his strength would increase. This was what Yang Hongwu was more concerned about. Increasing his strength was the most important thing. The stronger he was, the safer he would be. After all, the strength of the Immortal Pagoda and the Bauer was not his own strength. Only his own strength was the most reliable. Yes, master. Xianyu could not wait any longer. She had long wanted to collect the spirit vein. Otherwise, she would not have let Yang Hongwu take the risk to collect it. The Immortal Pagoda flew out of Yang Hongwu's spiritual abode and turned into a huge pagoda. This huge pagoda was shining with dazzling immortal light. Then, the Immortal Pagoda opened a passage. That passage shot out an even more intense beam of light, making it hard for people to open their eyes. That beam of light instantly pierced through the entire Earth Demon Mountain. With a loud bang, a terrifying amount of spiritual chi burst out and soared into the sky. The beam of light from the Immortal Pagoda changed. It formed a terrifying suction force and turned into a huge whirlpool. This huge whirlpool was like a black hole, crazily devouring all the spiritual chi in the surroundings. It was as if it was going to devour the entire mountain. Yang Hongwu's body trembled. This Immortal Pagoda was actually crazily devouring his spiritual chi. Even if Yang Hongwu's spiritual chi was strong, it was still hard for him to hold on. Yang Hongwu knew that as the owner of the Immortal Pagoda, he would need the support of his spiritual chi for it to burst forth. Without his spiritual chi, there was no way the Immortal Pagoda could burst forth with such power. Xianyu, how long will it take to finish collecting it? Yang Hongwu smiled bitterly. Even though he knew that the Immortal Pagoda would consume a huge amount of his spiritual chi, he had not expected it to be this intense. The rate of consumption was horrifying. Master, hold on for a little longer. 15 minutes. At most, you'll succeed in 15 minutes. Xianyu said, 15 minutes. The moment Yang Hongwu heard this, his face twitched. Bloody hell. 15 minutes. Based on this speed, he would only be able to hold on for half an hour at most. If he had known that collecting an entire spirit vein would consume such a huge amount of spiritual chi, he would not have agreed to it no matter what. Time passed bit by bit. Yang Hongwu's spiritual chi was being consumed more and more. Hurry up! Hurry up! I can't hold on any longer. Yang Hongwu used his spiritual chi to communicate with Xianyu and shouted out. Even though he was extremely anxious in his heart, he could not show it on his face. If Demon Saint Kong Xiao were to see that he was not as strong as he wanted to be, he would definitely launch an attack to devour him. However, after the previous incidents where Demon Saint Kong Xiao was taken care of by Yang Hongwu twice, he did not show any signs of taking action this time around. Of course, when he saw Yang Hongwu using the immortal pagoda to collect the entire spirit vein of the Earth Demon Mountain, he was extremely shocked as well. He had not expected Yang Hongwu to be this daring. In his impression, the immortal pagoda was indeed extremely strong. However, he did not know exactly how strong it was. Whether or not the immortal pagoda could collect the entire spirit vein, he did not dare to be sure. However, he was not optimistic about it. After all, this spirit vein belonged to the god Refinement Emperor. If Lin Fan were to collect this spirit vein, the god Refinement Emperor would definitely be alerted. However, when he recalled that Yang Hongwu was the successor of the god Refinement Emperor, he laughed bitterly. The god Refinement Emperor must have left this place for his successor. This was left for Yang Hongwu. Therefore, it was only natural that Lin Fan would be able to collect this spirit vein. However, Yang Hongwu was not as relaxed as Demon Saint Kong Qiu thought. At this moment, Yang Hongwu was almost at the end of his rope. The immortal pagoda was far from being able to collect the spirit vein. He did not know how long it would take for it to be fully collected. Xinyu, are you done? I can't hold on any longer. Yang Hongwu shouted out. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.